Chapter 623. No, you can do it, Chewing said softly as she watched the woman in front of her doing chest exercises. LV Liang, who was far away, said in a low voice, "Little brother, your wife is too. I have to talk about it in the future. I simply can't bear to look straight at her." The corner of Yi Hong's mouth twitched slightly. His wife was actually doing chest expansion exercises in front of another man. Those who knew about it were warming up, but those who did not know would think that it was a crazy hint. I must talk to her tonight. Too unruly. This was too outrageous. LV Liang even reminded Yi Hua in a low voice, "Don't forget Big Brother's experience. It is a painful memory." Yi Hong looked at his wife, who was far away. That is absolute trust in Zishan. How could Zishan possibly do such a thing? Big Brother is trying to scare me again. Zishan sure knows how to have fun. The person at the side laughed lightly. Husky, who was squatting at the side, was listless. I also want human rights. Don't ignore my existence just because I'm a dog. Finally, Zishan did a set of broadcast calisthenics. All right, let's begin. Chewing coughed a little, and with a soft shout, a long blade appeared in her right hand. As for Zishan, she condensed out a colorful long sword, which was emitting a unique spiritual energy. Not bad. You are a powerful character. Where are you from? Chewing asked curiously. Oh. You know about deities? Zishan was a bit surprised. This person actually knows about the existence of deities. Chewing chuckled. Of course, I'm also a god. My heaven's sanctum. Where are you from? The two of them started chatting as if they were from the same hometown. LV Liang poked her underling. See? They're already chatting. Be careful. Originally, Yi Hong had a confident look on her face, but when she saw that her wife was actually chatting with that person, they seemed to be quite happy, as if they were friends who had not seen each other for a long time. In an instant, they were in a bad mood and expressed their jealousy. Hearing Zishan's answer, Chewing smiled and said, "Tianfu, it is a big city. I am from Linwei City." Linwei? It's just a small place. It can't be compared to heaven's sanctum. Chewing smiled. Zishan replied with an "oh." So, it's a small place. How long have you been here? It's been a long time. I don't even remember. What about you? Chewing asked again. Me? I just came last year. Chewing nodded. I've heard that the Heaven's Sanctum's capital is very grand. I've always wanted to go there, but I've never had the chance. I'm afraid that there won't be another chance in the future, that Imperial City is already gone. Zishan smiled tenderly. This caused Yi Hong, who was far away, to immediately feel bad. His wife is even smiling. Oh. Did something happen in the imperial capital? Chewing asked curiously. Yes, they're all dead. It's very tragic. Chewing immediately frowned, her eyes filled with doubt. How could such a powerful place like the imperial capital be destroyed? Yi Hong couldn't stand it anymore. She ran to her wife and whispered, "What are you doing?" "Husband, this is someone from my hometown." We chatted for a bit longer. This is my husband. Zishan actually started introducing her husband. Yi Hong almost fainted. Zishan wasn't like this in the past. Chewing nodded at Yi Hong as if greeting her. The latter nodded helplessly. We're a polite party. We don't kill people randomly. That's enough, husband, you should quickly go over, don't disturb my fight. Zishan hurriedly pushed Yi Hong away. Really, all you know is how to be jealous. Then stop chatting. I know. Looking at her husband leaving, Zishan smiled. My husband likes to be jealous. He would get jealous after seeing me chatting with other men for a bit. Hee, looks like you found the right person. That's right, I'm quite lucky. Seeing how Yi Hong kept turning his head back every few steps, Zishan even blew a kiss to Yi Hong, telling him not to worry. Chu Ying's expression gradually darkened, then said faintly, "Let's begin." Zishan lightly sighed, then said, "You guys should just give up resisting, because there is no chance of winning." "Why?" Chu Ying asked in a low voice. "Do you know who destroyed the imperial capital?" Chu Ying remained silent. "It's us, and of course, the great overlord transcendent." When speaking about the overlord transcendent, Zishan's gaze revealed a burning admiration. She was simply like a completely different person compared to before. "You guys destroyed the imperial capital." Chu Ying found it hard to believe. There are as many experts in the imperial capital as there are clouds. How could the imperial capital be destroyed? "That's right, if you surrender, you might still be able to have your corpse intact." Zishan continued to persuade. "We're all from the same hometown, why is there a need to fight like that?" The blade in Chu Ying's hand emitted out a surge of evil aura. "None of my Lin Wei city's men surrender." Zishan understood and didn't continue to persuade. "All right. Take care." Chu Ying didn't say anything. The blade in her hand immediately unsheathed, and a berserk blade aura gushed out, instantly lighting up the entire sky, as if it was going to connect the heaven and earth. Puff! Chu Ying's expression darkened, she slightly lowered her head, and a sharp sword tip could be seen appearing on her chest, and on that resplendent light, there was even her own blood. "Just surrender, you are not my opponent," Zishan said in a low voice. "I feel that this person is still alright, so I don't want to be too ruthless." Chu Ying's expression tensed up, her heart was surging violently. "I don't even know when this woman appeared behind me, and I only felt a chill on my chest. When did such a powerful person appear in Heaven's mansion? Could it be that what she said was true? Was the imperial capital really destroyed by them?" On the other hand, Yihong, who was far away, was very happy. "Big brother, did you see that? My wife is still very awesome." LV Liang didn't deny it, "She is indeed awesome." Zishan, who was still standing at the side, snorted. Men, hee. The green and red brothers had stupefied expressions on their faces. What's wrong with this sister-in-law, for her to suddenly say such a thing? This is so strange. On the field, Chu Ying didn't pay any attention to the long sword on her chest, and the blade in her hand once again slashed towards Zishan. The blade was incomparably ferocious, and even if it meant that Zishan's wound would be pulled open, she didn't hesitate at all. Looking at the empty ground in front of her and the cold sword intent on her neck, Chu Ying's expression became gloomy. "Move again. I will kill you." Zishan changed her previous imposing manner and said with killing intent. The sword intent emitted out from the long sword in Zishan's hand had already sliced open Chu Ying's skin, and a stream of blood flowed out from her neck. Just as Chu Ying was about to make her move again, she suddenly saw a black-cloaked figure walking towards the bonfire, and behind the black-cloaked figure was actually Du Zui. Following closely behind the black-cloaked figure was Bai Xiaozhen. Bai Xiaozhen was actually grabbing onto Shi Xiaotian's neck and dragging him all the way over, and Shi Xiaotian was actually like a dead fish, completely not showing any reaction. There was also a woman who came over, and she actually directly threw the 9 spirits over. "I can't even sense the 9 spirits' spiritual energy. Your companion is already in such a state, are you still going to resist?" Zishan asked faintly. Chapter 624. "Let's go," Zishan said indifferently. Chu Ying seemed to have lost her soul as she walked towards the bonfire. Zishan also sheathed her sword. However, she did not feel satisfied at all. Her opponent was simply too weak. All 4 of them were taken down and stood next to the bonfire. Although they were all injured, none of them were dead. She continued to stare at the 4 intruders and shouted coldly, "Kneel." A ferocious aura burst forth from her delicate body, and a huge spiritual pressure pressed down on their backs like a mountain. Finally, they could not bear it any longer and knelt down. "Kill me if you want. But don't insult us," Du Zui shouted angrily. As Lai Gu's first wife, Yu's seniority here was also considered to be high, thus, Yu was the one to speak for the time being. "Insult? You guys are thinking too much. This isn't an insult, it's a pity." He still hinted to LV Tao to inform Wei Chang to come over. He couldn't go above his rank to report this matter. Who the hell are you people? How can Voidless Realm have you too? This is impossible. Jiu Ling was still unable to think through this problem. Voidless Realm is indeed powerful, but it is definitely not powerful to such an extent. You have a lot of questions, but as losers, you should act like losers. Just lower your heads and keep quiet. Haha. Bow my head to you? Don't even think about it. Du Zui laughed wildly, showing no sign of fear. Bai Xiaozhen's beautiful eyes narrowed, and she slapped the void. Pa! This sound was very loud, and it was enough to send Du Zui's teeth flying. Motherf asterisk Ker. I will kill you even if I become a ghost. Du Zui spat out a mouthful of blood and roared at Bai Xiaozhen. If possible, Bai Xiaozhen wanted to kill this person. He was too disgusting. However, his honor didn't give me any orders, so I temporarily kept it. LV Shu also reported the situation to Wei Chang. At this time, Wei Chang was hugging Tang Wei and sleeping soundly. After hearing the report, he immediately woke up. Someone really dared to come. After putting on his pajamas, Wei Chang came over immediately. A black whirlpool appeared beside the bonfire, and when the four people who were kneeling down saw it, their gazes were filled with fright. The aura that was being emitted out from the whirlpool. It was too terrifying. However, when she saw a man who was wearing pajamas walking out, the corner of her mouth slightly twitched. This is different from what I thought it would be, Uncle Wei. Everyone present called out respectfully. Even Yun Lang lowered his head. Needless to say, the four people kneeling on the ground were amazed. These people were already very scary, but they were actually so respectful to a man in pajamas. This was a little scary. Who was this man in pajamas? What's going on? Wei Chang frowned. Being woken up from his sleep was definitely not a good feeling. Death Mage said respectfully, Master, those people were preparing to launch a sneak attack on Voidless Realm tonight, and we intercepted them. Wei Chang turned his head and looked at the four people kneeling on the ground. His eyes were so deep that no one dared to look at them. The four people didn't even dare to raise their heads. No wonder losers have to lower their heads, because they don't even have the courage to raise their heads. Who are you people? Wei Chang asked in a low voice. Jiu Ling didn't have much time to think and hurriedly explained, it's a misunderstanding, we were all deceived by someone. Oh, who? Heaven and Earth. He is the boss behind that Justice and Order alliance, he has always wanted to mess with Voidless Realm. Du Zui hurriedly explained. The man in pajamas in front of him didn't even have any thoughts of resisting. Heaven and Earth. Wei Chang muttered. Originally, I didn't plan to inform His Honor, but since it was related to Heaven and Earth, I still have to ask for His Honor's opinion. Right now, Yi Hua wasn't hugging onto his wife to sleep. Instead, he was hugging onto his daughter and son. The two little fellows were nestled within their father's embrace and were sleeping very sweetly. Yi Hua, who was sleeping, was woken up by Wei Chang. Wei Chang. If you don't give me an explanation, watch how I am going to teach you a lesson. Yi Hua snorted. This is too outrageous. How many times have I told you not to contact me after 10 p.m., unless something big happened? Wei Chang's expression became respectful. Even though Yi Hua wasn't in front of him, Wei Chang still bowed down. When the others saw Wei Chang's expression, they definitely knew that His Honor was angry, and they bowed down as well. This action of Wei Chang's caused the four people to be stupefied. Just who are these people? Why did the scary pajama man become so terrified, as if he is afraid of something? Your Honor, there are ambushers outside. Wei Chang explained. However, this explanation made Yi Hua not very satisfied. Just kill them. Is there a need to report such a small matter? But they said that they were deceived by Heaven and Earth. Speaking of Heaven and Earth, Yi Hua's gaze became serious. After ending the conversation with His Honor, Wei Chang let out a breath of relief. I knew that His Honor had already gone to rest. It's all because of these 4 idiots. Is Voidless Realm a place that you all should come to? 8 people and 1 dog stood respectfully beside the bonfire. This kind of action made the 4 people who were kneeling down feel very heavy. They seemed to be waiting for someone to come out. Just who is it? The 4 people were unable to figure out who it was, but what they were sure of was that it was definitely an even more terrifying existence. Or perhaps it was that supreme overlord. Very quickly, Yihua's figure appeared. He was wearing a military coat, and he looked very, very sloppy. At the very least, that was what the 4 people who were kneeling down thought. Subordinates. We pay our respects to your honor. The 8 people's shouts were very intimidating in this quiet night, and it seemed as if their shouts had broken through the clouds. Wu Ha also kneeled down. Yihua waved his hand, and everyone stood up respectfully. Duzui's mind was completely blank. This is the supreme overlord. I originally thought that it was that pajamas guy. I didn't expect that it would be that military coat guy. Jiu Ling looked at Wei Chang. This man is already very powerful. I didn't expect that there would be someone even more powerful. In Chu Ying's heart, those people just now were already extremely terrifying, and that pajamas guy was even more terrifying. But, I didn't expect that there would be another one. How am I supposed to live? Furthermore, these people are so respectful and even fearful towards the military coat guy. My God. Just what kind of person did I provoke? Shi Xiaotian remained silent throughout the entire process. As a big guy, to be beaten up by a woman, it's so shameful, even speaking feels like it's shameful, just them? Yihua muttered. Wei Chang stood respectfully behind Yihua. That's right, Your Honor. Yihua pointed at Chu Ying and said faintly, I am asking you, did God Atlas let you all come here? Chu Ying nodded her head, then said gravely, that's right, we were all tricked by God Atlas, that's why we came here. Yihua looked towards Jiu Ling and asked, what is the relationship between you all and God Atlas? How could Jiu Ling dare to hide anything from Yihua? Just hearing this man's question, I feel as if my heart is going to explode. Chapter 625. Yihua then pointed at Du Zui, why didn't Qing Tian and Tian Di come with you? Du Zui immediately said, Your Honor, although Qing Tian Di is with us, he is very cunning, we have suffered a lot of losses in the past, this time, he even used us as cannon fodder to test you. Are you trying to say that this God raising heaven and earth is your boss? Yihua asked indifferently. This God raising heaven and earth's brain is indeed not bad, and he is very good at reading people's minds. Jiu Ling lowered his head and said, Your Honor, this Qing Tian was originally one of us, we really didn't mean it, please spare our lives. What is the purpose of you all raiding Voidless Realm at night? Yihua walked to the side of the bonfire and sat down. Stretching out both of his hands, Yihua warmed himself up and stared at the golden-colored flames. The 4 of them remained silent for a moment, and then Chu Ying said gravely, Voidless Realm is a small world, we want to obtain it. Chu Ying thought that his honor would be shocked by what she said, but who would have thought that after hearing what she said, his honor did not have any reaction at all. The dog actually ran to the side to pee. How could you pee in such a serious situation? Can you have a bit of civility? So that's why you're here. What a pity. Yihua stood up and tightened the military coat that he was wearing. The night in this desert is indeed a bit cold. The 4 didn't understand what Yihua meant and were very puzzled. Just kill them. Yihua said faintly. There was basically no reason for him to kill them. Yes. Wei Chang replied respectfully without a trace of pity. If his honor wants someone to die at midnight, then his honor will definitely not let them live until midnight. The 4 people kneeling on the ground couldn't believe it. They were actually going to kill him. And in such a pretentious manner. Wasn't he afraid of being struck by lightning? Just as Wei Chang was about to make his move, Chu Ying suddenly burst into laughter. Shi Xiaotian, who was silent on the side, suddenly came back to his senses. Even Du Zui and Jiu Ling could feel it. Now that things have come to this, I can only fight. Hearing Chu Ying's words, Yi Hua, who was originally going to leave, suddenly turned around and asked faintly, "Let's take a gamble and turn a bicycle into a motorcycle? You forced us to do this." Just as Chu Ying finished speaking, her body emitted a faint light. Not only Chu Ying, but also Jiu Ling, Du Zui, and Shi Xiaotian. Yi Hua took out a packet of Furong Wang from the pocket of his military uniform, then took out a cigarette and lit it up. "There are a lot of people who wanted to fight against me, and in the end, all of them went to hell to gamble." Chu Ying sneered, "It's not certain who will go to hell." The four of them quickly formed hand seals, and a terrifying aura suddenly emanated from each of them. Even the 9 spirits, whose spiritual qi had been scattered, were the same. Just as Wei Chang was about to kill the 4 of them, Yi Hua stopped Wei Chang. "Let's see what they want to do." Spirit concentration transformation. The 4 of them shouted and a monstrous cyclone immediately swept across the area. A tornado descended from the sky and enveloped the 4 of them. Yi Hua laughed, "Interesting, using your life as the price to strengthen your strength. Your honor allows subordinate to go out and fight against the enemy." Zi Shan cupped her hands and shouted out, "This is the opponent that I want." Yi Hua said indifferently, "I haven't played for a long time, you all can back off." "Your honor," Lai Gu's 3 wives shouted out sweetly. "Why is it that whenever his honor meets someone who is slightly more powerful, his honor would snatch them away, leaving us, who are his subordinates, with no place to display our abilities?" Wei Chang's brows wrinkled, "Nonsense. You all dare to disobey his honor's order." The 4 women hurriedly knelt down and admitted their wrongs. "All right, I will forget about it this time. I hope that there won't be a next time," Yi Hua said in a low voice. As the saying goes, subordinates should act like subordinates. A party can be played around, but a proper business must be serious. "Thank you, your honor is blessed by the heavens." Yi Hua didn't say anything. "Don't you all have any new vocabulary? You all only say these few phrases every day. I am already sick of hearing them." Sensing the aura within the tornado, Yi Hua was indeed a bit surprised. The tornado seems to have already reached the strength of an overlord. This spirit concentration transformation is a good thing, but the price to pay for it is too heavy. Yi Hua can feel that their life force is slipping away. Why bother? Wouldn't it be better to just leave quickly? After the tornado disappeared, Yi Hua was still very satisfied with their current state. Her body was huge, reaching a height of 3 meters. Her head was Chu Ying's, her shoulders were Du Zui and Shi Xiaotian's, and her chest was Jiu Ling. Yi Hua guessed that the crotch position should be the one that holds up the heavens. "No wonder I would be able to trick you all like this, arranging a crotch position for you all. It is already very nice of me to not stab you all in the back." Power. Is this power? Ha 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 ha. Du Zui was able to feel the surging power, as if he is able to shatter this entire planet with a single punch. This feeling is truly incomparably powerful. Jiu Ling didn't expect that this attack would be so powerful, and her confidence immediately returned to her body. Jiu Ling let out an eerie laugh. "Even if I die, I will still drag you all down with me. Even if I die, I will still drag you all down with me." Chu Ying took a deep breath. "No matter how powerful you are, you will still die in this desert." Yi Hua had heard too many of such words. This is the confidence that power gives, and they think that they are able to crush their opponent. However, how would they know that I, the Supreme Overlord, am the source of power? Go and die. Tremble under my power. Shi Xiaotian shouted out, and his enormous body immediately shone with a golden light. Yi Hua could feel that his power was once again rising crazily. The entire desert was giving off an aftershock, and the sky seemed to have sensed this power as well, causing the sky to start rumbling. Yi Hua slightly raised his right hand and said faintly, "All power has to kneel for me." Following that, the sound of thumb and middle finger tapping on each other rang out. The group of 4 who were arrogant just a moment ago went into a daze. It was as if their bodies had been frozen, and even the expression on their faces was the same. A light breeze blew over, and Shi Xiaotian's enormous body instantly fell onto the ground like a pile of sand, merging together with the yellow sand on the ground. Seeing that his honor had displayed his might, everyone hurriedly kneeled down and shouted out, "His honor's power is boundless. Sigh, it is so lonely to be too powerful. I, the Supreme Overlord, am going to wash my hands of this world." After finished speaking, Yihua disappeared from the bonfire. Hearing his honor's lonely tone, as well as his honor's back view, everyone couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. As expected of our leader, this way of acting cool is so scary. His honor's snap of his fingers is so cool. Yihua was also feeling very helpless. Right now, I have fallen to acting cool in front of my subordinates, and I don't even have an audience anymore. If this continues on, it will be meaningless. After returning to the room, Yihua discovered that the two little fellows were sitting on the bed. "Daddy, Daddy," Yihua hugged onto the two children, "why are you both awake?" Big sister said that Daddy went to look for Mommy, and that Daddy isn't going to sleep with Yen anymore. Yi Yen, this little fellow, is becoming more and more clingy to his father, and Yi Yen is constantly following behind his father. Dong Wang Baiji is also the same. Her daughter is also following behind her father, and Dong Wang Baiji doesn't even care about her, the mother. Chapter 626. She even wanted to occupy her husband's body when he was sleeping at night, and if he didn't let her, she would cry and throw a tantrum. In Harbor City, God raising heaven and earth still hadn't slept yet. While watching the television, he muttered, "You guys can go and die." Yihua's guess was right. God raising heaven and earth was still brooding over the matter of his crotch. As expected of a narrow-minded man. This is God raising heaven and earth's true purpose, to kill others with a borrowed knife. In this competition, Yihua seemed to have fallen behind once again. Yihua knew about this, and his interest was piqued. This God raising heaven and earth's brain is indeed not bad, interesting. Meanwhile, Yihua was also thinking about how to get back at God raising heaven and earth, and how to make God raising heaven and earth disheartened. Directly show my strength in front of God raising heaven and earth? Too low. This isn't my style at all. Right now, I am playing with my brain. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. The voices of exterminating Voidless Realm seemed to have lessened by a lot, because there was no way to exterminate Voidless Realm, and they couldn't even find the place to exterminate Voidless Realm. Furthermore, no one dared to go to the desert, it was too dangerous, and people could die at any moment. Facing this kind of helplessness, everyone was helpless. However, another matter diverted everyone's attention, and that was the sudden appearance of a female demon who specialized in killing men. This caused the men to not dare to go out anymore. Furthermore, the situation was becoming more and more intense, and the influence of the situation was also becoming bigger and bigger. As the Peace Association and Justice Alliance, they definitely had to take action to deal with this woman. However, the people that were sent out basically never returned. The two organizations were having a headache. The female demon was simply too strong. This kind of action angered Li Hun even more, to the point where he started killing every man he saw on the streets. It was fine if a man walked alone, but as long as there was a woman beside him, he would be killed without saying anything. Li Hun was simply ferocious to the extreme. At this time, the single men sighed in admiration. It is so good to be single, why do I have to look for a girlfriend? Look at those men who have girlfriends, all of them died, how pitiful. Yihua naturally knew about this kind of thing, and he completely let it go. However, as the Empress of Voidless Realm, she had the responsibility to get rid of these people. How could Yihua possibly allow Dong Huang Baiji to act recklessly? This demoness was a bargaining chip that Yihua could use to teach heaven and earth a lesson. It would have been fine if Dong Huang Baiji didn't go and help heaven and earth, but Dong Huang Baiji still went and captured heaven and earth. However, this also caused Dong Huang Baiji to be a bit angry, and she had been ignoring Yihua for the past 3 days. Yihua couldn't be bothered to go and coax Yihua. If I were to go and coax Yihua, from now on, wait for me to think clearly about this problem. Yihua, look, Baiji hasn't eaten for an entire day, go and coax her. Qinya said tenderly while sitting in Yihua's embrace. Yihua snorted coldly, then lightly caressed Qinya's beautiful hair and said faintly, since she is so disobedient, why are you coaxing her? Baiji is pregnant and her belly is big. Even if you don't care about the big one, you have to care about the little one. Besides, pregnant women are a little emotional. You have to understand. That's right. Qinya persuaded Yihua attentively. I reckon that in the past, I would never have thought that I would have to ask my man to coax another woman. After thinking about it, Yihua felt that what Qinya said was right. No matter what, both of them are carrying my bloodline. It is normal for my temper to be a bit bad. Looking at her husband's expression, Qinya knew what to do. She stood up and took out a bowl of porridge. Here, properly coax him. You. Speaking up for others. Yihua said petulantly. Qinya laughed tenderly, then pinched onto her husband's cheek. Isn't it all for the sake of your harem? Can 2 still be counted as a harem? If you have the capability, then go and find 7 or 8 more for me. Only then can that be called a harem. Yihua. Qinya placed her hands on her waist and looked like she was about to get angry. Yihua snorted lightly. Would I, the Supreme Overlord, bother with a woman? Go and coax my wife. This is the last time I will coax my wife. Next time, don't even think about letting me coax you. I am also a man with dignity. Walking into the Empress's bedroom, Yihua saw that the Empress was currently sitting on the chair and daydreaming. What a foolish woman, she is definitely thinking about me. Cough. Yihua coughed lightly, reminding Donghuang Baiji that I, the Supreme Overlord, have arrived. Humph! Donghuang Baiji snorted and completely ignored Yihua. Yo, this little temper is quite big. Do you believe that I, the Supreme Overlord, am going to smash the porridge? Yihua placed the porridge that was in his hand beside the Empress, then said gravely, drink it. Donghuang Baiji immediately turned her head around and refused to look at Yihua. Is this the attitude you use to coax your wife? Looking at his wife's attitude, Yihua seemed to have made up his mind. Yihua lightly held on to Donghuang Baiji's delicate hand. The latter immediately prepared to counterattack, but when she saw Yihua's expression, her face was filled with astonishment. Right now, Yihua's expression was one that no one had seen before. Chapter 627. Yihua, do you still have a lot of enemies? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. In the past, she had heard Yihua mention a few enemies, but this time, Yihua said it in front of her. Yihua patted onto Donghuang Baiji's face. All right, I will tell you too when the time comes. Yihua was thinking, if I were to reveal my true form in front of Qinya and Donghuang Baiji, what kind of expression would they have? I reckon that they would directly faint from fright. Husband, tell me, Donghuang Baiji immediately began acting coquettishly, hooking her curiosity out. To actually not tell me anymore, Yihua is truly becoming more and more naughty. Yihua pinched onto the Empress's chin and said with a smile, when the two of you serve me together, I will tell you too. Ah, pervert, I'm going to ignore you. Donghuang Baiji snorted, then left her husband's embrace and went to deal with Voidless Realms matters. Yihua did not chase after her. Today's mission to coax his wife has ended. I finally solved the problem of the Empress. After walking out of the Empress's bedroom, Yihua stopped his footsteps and looked at his sister-in-law's bedroom. Yihua decided to go in and take a look at Yutong. Recently, this sister-in-law seems to be very depressed and listless. Right after walking into the bedroom, Yihua saw Qin Yutong, who was in the garden. Qin Yutong was wearing a green long skirt and holding onto her small but while staring at Voidless Realms sky. That exquisite chin, spotlessly white skin, and that sexy jade neck, she is simply tempting Yihua's nerves. Facing this sister-in-law that hasn't been developed yet, Yihua chose to avoid meeting her, in case he couldn't control himself and did her. If that were to happen, Qinya would definitely fight it out with him. However, this Yutong is truly becoming more and more beautiful, as if she is waiting for a man to develop her. Qin Yutong naturally knew that brother-in-law came, and thus, she put on this pose. Wouldn't brother-in-law be infatuated with her? Right now, every time he sees me, he would leave as if he is a flower. This is too vexing. In the past, you would often spank other people's butt, but now, you don't even do it. What kind of brother-in-law are you? You have already spanked your sister-in-law's butt, and now, you want to just pat your butt and leave? Seeing that Yihua still did not have any reaction, Qing Yutong turned her head around and looked towards Yihua, then revealed out a smile, and her pair of beautiful eyes curved into crescent moons. Brother-in-law, right now, whenever Yihua looked at Qing Yutong's face, he would have an impulse. Recently, I am not allowed to touch both of my wives, and I am truly sullen. If I were to really do anything to my sister-in-law, then the blame will be on the two of them. Yutong, it's so fun. After finished speaking, Yihua prepared to turn around and leave. Qing Yutong pouted her small mouth. What does brother-in-law mean by this? Is he playing hard to get? Alright, brother-in-law, you've succeeded. Qing Yutong could be seen disappearing from her original spot, and in an instant, she blocked Yihua's path and stared fixedly at Yihua's eyes. To be honest, Yihua was a bit lacking in confidence. Back then, I said that I was going to do something to my sister-in-law, but in the end, I was left to the cold until now, as if I was banished to the cold palace. Quickly go and play, don't stop me. Yihua's gaze focused, seemingly wanting to scare his sister-in-law away. Qing Yutong spread open both of her arms. Brother-in-law, if you leave today, I will tell big sister that you spanked my butt. You! Qing Yutong! How dare you! I, the Supreme Overlord, was actually threatened by my sister-in-law. How can I do that? In the entire world, who dares to threaten me? Even my own wife doesn't dare to. I am just courageous. What do you want to do? Qing Yutong stiffened up. Move aside. Yihua shouted out lightly. Qing Yutong transformed into a gust of fragrant wind and immediately pounced into Yihua's embrace, giving out her first kiss. Yihua was a bit stupefied. This sister-in-law is not acting according to the norm. To actually forcefully kiss me, outstanding men are like this, there's no helping it. After a long while, the two of them separated. Yihua put on a cold look and said in a deep voice, Qing Yutong. Do you know what you are doing? If I know that brother-in-law, you are pushing me back. Yihua, so awkward, my temper is indeed a bit heavy recently. Looking at brother-in-law's awkward look, Qing Yutong asked sneakily, brother-in-law, is sister-in-law's first kiss sweet? I still have a lot of first kisses, all of them belong to brother-in-law. This is simply a crazy hint. This sister-in-law is becoming more and more mischievous. Alright, don't let your big sister see it. Yihua's tone eased up a bit, but in his heart, he felt that it was very exciting. No wonder so many men want to have a clandestine love affair, so it is this kind of feeling, not bad. Qing Yutong seemed to know what brother-in-law was thinking. Brother-in-law, do you feel that it is very exciting? Exciting your head. Yihua stretched out his hand and smacked onto Qing Yutong's butt. Oh brother-in-law, why did you smack my butt again, and it is so heavy too? Not being honest. Qing Yutong didn't care so much, she just liked her brother-in-law. She immediately held onto Yihua's neck and kissed onto his butt. Yihua didn't seem to resist, and he even started to stroke onto Qing Yutong's butt. Qing Yutong, this girl who had never been touched by Yihua before, immediately felt like she didn't want to be touched anymore. Following that, her body slightly trembled, and the entire world seemed to have become boring. Brother-in-law, you are so bad. K. This is simply, brother-in-law and sister-in-law have a clandestine love affair series. Are you satisfied now? Hurry up and go back. Yihua shook his head. This sister-in-law sure is exciting. Brother-in-law is so annoying. I am going to go back and change my pants. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong ran back into the house. Yihua let out a breath, then thought to himself, Qingya, it was your little sister who seduced me. I only cooperated slightly with her. I won't take the blame for this. Right after walking out of the door, Yihua saw Qingya walking over. Instinctively, he wanted to turn around, as if he had done something guilty. However, when Yihua thought about it, how could I be afraid of my wife? I am thinking too much. Yihua, what are you doing? Qingya walked over and asked curiously. I was chatting with Yutong just now. Yihua said faintly, with a look of, I am a gentleman, on his face. Clandestine love affair is something that I, the Supreme Overlord, disdains. Qinya silently nodded her head. As the brother-in-law, you should advise Yutong to not set her sights so high. After all, she will be 30 years old in a few more years. That's right, I also said it just now, Yutong doesn't listen to me. Yihua silently nodded his head. Perhaps, Qinya, you don't know how thirsty Yutong is. Qinya let out a light sigh. If it really doesn't work, I just want Yutong to marry you, that way, I can be at ease. Hee, this Qinya actually tricked me. Do you think that I am a fool? Qinya. What are you saying? Pay attention to your words. Yihua shouted out. To actually come up with such an idea, to destroy the interpersonal relationship, this is challenging the bottom line of morality. Qinya pouted her mouth, then said solemnly, I am serious, since you don't agree to it, then forget it. Looking at Qinya's attitude, Yihua didn't seem to be tricking me. Could it be that Qinya is really planning to marry my little sister to me as well? As expected of my wife. I have to praise her for this. Chapter 628. Yihua nodded his head, then said, actually, this idea of yours is not bad, after all, we are family. Right after Yihua finished speaking, he felt two unkind gazes. Damn it, Qinya was indeed tricking me, I actually naively believed it, I am still too honest. You want to hide this little trick of yours from me? Do you think that I don't know? I just probed you a bit and I found out. Yihua hurriedly explained. Being henpecked doesn't exist, I am just maintaining the harmony of the family. Qinya snorted, then walked into her little sister's bedroom. Yihua let out a sigh of relief. This Qinya is becoming more and more mischievous. Speaking of which, that fellow Lulu has two identical twins. As a leader, I can't fall behind. Although Qinya and Qin Yutong aren't twins, the expression between their brows is still very similar. If they can be together, with the addition of the Empress, the scene would definitely be very exciting. I seem to have a new target. However, this is a long-term plan, I should first deal with the current matter. This time, I have to teach Qing Tian a lesson. After gathering his subordinates, Yihua decided to have a small meeting. The location was naturally the lounge of Leisure Bar. I want to go to the toilet, but I can't stand there anymore. Furthermore, there are more ladies right now, it would be very inconvenient for me to go to the men's toilet for the meeting. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. All of the subordinates shouted out respectfully. Yihua nodded his head. I feel rather comfortable hearing such words. Recently, there is a demoness that is stirring up trouble outside. Yihua sat on the bar counter and said faintly while smoking a cigarette. Lai Gu immediately stood out, then cupped his hands and said, Your Honor, subordinate is willing to get rid of the evil for the people. Who told you that I am going to get rid of the evil? Yihua glared at Lai Gu. I haven't even finished speaking, and you already ran out. Lai Gu immediately retreated a bit awkwardly. Originally, I wanted to show off in front of his honor, but I didn't expect that I would be scolded by his honor instead. Yihua took a puff of the cigarette and said gravely, This demoness is indeed a bit strong, but she won't be able to defend against a sneak attack. Therefore, I want one of you to go and protect her. Who is willing to go? The entire lounge became quiet, not a single man stood out. The reason was very simple. They were all men with girlfriends or wives. How could they protect a woman? Then, their wives would be jealous. In the lounge, Zi Shan said softly, Yi Hong, this is a good chance, quickly accept the mission. Yi Hong still didn't know about Zi Shan's thoughts, and every single day, she would crazily probe Zi Shan. Even when she went out for a stroll at night, she would point at the women around her and ask, Are they pretty? Right, Yi Hong is very good at martial arts. Zi Shan, the person that I want to protect my entire life is you. The perfect answer. Yi Hong was in awe of herself. Zi Shan was very satisfied with her husband's reply, and a smile blossomed on her beautiful face. However, only Blood Devil and Fusher did not have a girlfriend. Blood Demon didn't get close to women. Furthermore, he had now been promoted to the management level of the bar, and he was able to manage the bar very well. Yihua's pocket money was also getting more and more. Do said, but now, Yukio had become smarter. He obediently stood at the back of the group, refusing to speak no matter what and refusing to accept any quests. It wasn't that Do Fusher didn't want to accept it, it was because he had also heard of the demoness. She was extremely savage and killed every man she saw. Just as Do Fusher was thinking, his left hand was suddenly pulled up by someone. Upon seeing that, LV Liang immediately cried out in surprise, "Do Fusher, good job." Lai Gu said, as expected of a newcomer, his courage is commendable. Wei Chang nodded his head, as a newcomer, he actually dares to accept the mission. He is indeed courageous. Do Fusher, good job. Do your best to complete his honor's mission. Do Fusher was stupefied. Just now, my left hand seemed to have been pulled up by spiritual energy. It's definitely them. This is too much, too much. I don't want to go. Do Fusher rushed forward and knelt on the ground, Your Honor. Before Do Fusher could finish, Yihua nodded his head, seeing that you are so proactive, I will hand this difficult mission over to you. Do Fusher, what are you still standing there for? Thank you, Your Honor. Wei Chang said. Do Fusher was actually stupefied. Do Fusher has never felt such despair before. That woman doesn't even blink when she kills men, aren't I just sending myself to death? Yihua naturally knew that Do Fusher wasn't that woman's opponent. Yihua nodded his head towards Wei Chang, and a lump of black fog came out from Wei Chang's finger, which immediately drilled into Do Fusher's nose. Meanwhile, Do Fusher's body trembled, and soon after, he felt that it was boring, and he even rolled his eyes. After settling this matter, Yihua's gaze became serious. The subordinates didn't dare to be careless, and they respectfully listened to Yihua. I have decided to return 5 years later. In these 5 years, I hope that you all will study hard and use books and knowledge to enrich yourselves. When the subordinates heard that, they shouted out in unison, knowledge makes me happy, learning makes me grow. For such a slogan to come out from the mouths of this group of people, it was indeed hard to believe. They were just like a group of demons being forced by Yihua to attend high school. However, to be able to hear that his honor had set a time, the people from 7 deadly sins were still very excited. Although they didn't understand what his honor was going to do, seeing how serious his honor was, they knew that he was definitely going to do something big. Immediately, Yi Hong's body became hot, and he wished that he could go right now. Yi Hong also saw hope. This way, I will be able to display my masculinity and make Zi Shan worship me. Disperse, go back and prepare. Yihua said faintly. Yes. In an instant, everyone left, leaving behind only Do Fusher, who was lying on the ground and foaming at the mouth, and the blood demon. Towards the strength that his honor bestowed upon Do Fusher, the blood demon didn't feel envious at all. On the contrary, he was very satisfied with his current life. Those fights and killing outside are truly not suitable for me, the blood demon. So, it turns out that cooking and bartending are my true interests, only now did I realize it. Yihua looked at the blood demon and said, properly learn how to cook, in the future, I will leave my meals to you. Upon hearing that, the blood demon was overjoyed. What kind of glory is it to be able to cook for a supreme overlord? To go and bring harm to the common people? Subordinate obeys. Subordinate will definitely cook the most delicious food in the world for your honor to enjoy. Good. I will remember what you said, properly practice for the next 5 years. Yes. The blood demon felt that the blood in his entire body was boiling. This is simply even more exciting than fighting. With a large stride, the blood demon rushed into the kitchen at the back of the house. The corner of Yihua's mouth twitched slightly. Don't judge a person by their appearance, so it turns out that the blood demon isn't someone who will bring harm to the common people. After taking a look at Do Fusher, who was lying on the ground and foaming at the mouth, Yihua covered his face with his hand. This Do Fusher might be the dumbest person in my group. Chapter 629. Woo-woo, Yun Lang suddenly let out a cry. Yi Hua let out a deep sigh. These two are really stupid. After drinking a cup of wine, Yi Hua returned to Voidless Realm. The children still need me to teach them. 5 years later, the children will also have to carry my banner. However, even after 5 years, Yi Yen was still only 5 years old. A 5-year-old kid was going to be thrown into the outside world by his father to train. Thinking about it, it was really pitiful. When Do Fusher woke up, he was stupefied. Looking at his surroundings. His honor had already left. I feel that my life has lost its color. His honor actually told me to go and protect a demoness. Is he joking with me? Standing up, Do Fusher saw that Blood Demon was carefully wiping the glass. That focused look made Do Fusher's scalp go numb. Brother Blood Demon, can I have a glass of wine? Do Fusher sighed softly. Why was he given such a mission every single time? It was the kind that no one wanted to accept. Blood Devil glanced at Do Fusher and lightly said, "Pay up." It can't be. Brother Blood Demon, we're a team after all. Floating Do couldn't believe it. They were a team, so why did they have to collect money? Blood Demon said in a deep voice, "This is his honor's order. Even if his honor's wife wants to drink wine, she needs to pay for it." Floating World, does his honor lack money that much? Do Fusher suddenly thought of a good idea. I don't know if bribing his honor will work or not. I can try it another day. Forget it, I'll go complete the quest. Do Fusher said in a low voice. One mustn't be careless when it comes to the task that his honor has given to them. If they don't complete the task, it's very likely that they will be kicked out by his honor. I, Do Fusher, am also a man who wants face. How can I disappoint his honor's order? Walking out of Leisure Bar, Do Fusher arrived at the side of the street. He sat in his 90s Santana and took out his phone. He only needed to watch the news to know where the demoness was. After searching for a while, Do Fusher had already confirmed her whereabouts. She was killing men in Nanyang City. How terrifying. Furthermore, when he saw the picture of the female devil, Do Fusher felt as though he had seen it somewhere before. He suddenly recalled that day. He divined that he was going to die. Could it be because of this? That was close. I almost died. It seemed that the rumors on the internet were right. This female devil only killed men with girlfriends. Do Fusher unhurriedly started the Santana under his butt, and a cloud of black mist emerged from his butt. Then, there was a dong-dong-dong sound, a little like a tractor. When they arrived at Nanyang City, it was already night time. Do Fusher first went to eat egg fried rice and a basket of steamed dumplings to fill his stomach. After everything was prepared, he went to find the demoness. After experiencing the strength of his body, Do Fusher felt as if he had been reborn. Flying to the sky was not that strenuous, and he could even jump from one place to another. Then why did I drive here just now? I was so stupid. Do Fusher was jumping around with a look of curiosity on his face. Of course, there was also excitement. Who would have thought that his big brother's big brother would impart such a powerful technique to him? Thank you, Your Honor, for your great kindness. I, Do Fusher, will do my utmost until the day I die. I will definitely protect little big sister well and not let her suffer even a bit of harm. However, at this time, outside the suburbs of Nanyang City, Drifting Soul was ambushed. To be more precise, it was the poison that came from the ancient times. It was terrifying. In order to get rid of this departed soul, Ching Tiandi had put in quite a bit of effort, but he was still nowhere to be found. The Righteous Alliance led by Wang Debao and Bai Cixin were present. At this moment, Li Han had been temporarily sealed by the primordial celestial artifact, and there were various scars on her body. Her originally beautiful lips had turned black, and her entire body was emitting an aura of death. If he hadn't been poisoned beforehand, how could he have been sealed by an ancient divine artifact? That milk tea woman was so vicious. I detach my soul to kill stinky men for you, and you women actually bite the hand that feeds you. Wang Debao looked at the trapped Li Hun and said in a deep voice, "Honey, this woman can't be killed even with an ancient divine artifact." Bai Cixin was also very surprised. He was first poisoned by the ancient divine weapon, and now he was trapped by the ancient divine weapon, but he was still alive. It was still healing, and it wouldn't take long for him to recover. As expected of someone who had reincarnated, he was indeed very strong. Qing Tiandi still wants to live, seems like he won't be able to. Bai Cixin let out a light sigh. Qing Tiandi wanted to subdue this woman. After all, he was currently lacking fighters, and this woman's strength was very strong. Of course, Qing Tiandi also said that if he really couldn't do it, then he would just kill her. Wang Debao felt that he could still fight for one last time, and he shouted out to Li Hun, "As long as you obey us, we will let you go." A green cauldron could be seen floating above Li Hun's head, and the cauldron was emitting a terrifying aura. A brilliant golden cage had trapped Li Hun, and numerous golden whips were currently lashing Li Hun's body. Every time one of the whips lashed, an astonishing airwave would be emitted. However, Li Hun's expression didn't change at all, and even though she was poisoned, she still persisted. "Humph. Stinky man. Wait for me to come out, I will kill you first." Li Hun slowly raised her head and stared fixedly at Wang Debao. Wang Debao didn't doubt that this woman indeed had the strength to kill him. The difference in strength was too big. "Stop trying to persuade me, it's useless." Bai Cixin's beautiful eyes turned cold, and a spear appeared in her hands. When the spear appeared, thunder and lightning rumbled, and the sound of thunder resounded throughout the world. Electric currents could be seen flickering around the spear, and the subordinates standing behind Bai Cixin could clearly feel that the spear was different from the others. It turns out that the Justice and Order Alliance is so powerful that they can even subdue this demoness. When Li Hun saw the spear in Bai Cixin's hands, her gaze became a bit serious. "Demonic woman. I am going to ask you one last time." Without waiting for Bai Cixin to finish speaking, Li Hun snorted coldly, "Sooner or later, you will die in a man's hands." "Fine. Then I will let this Godslayer send you back." Bai Cixin shouted as she raised the Godslayer high in the air with her right hand and threw it out. When the Godslayer flew out, the white electric currents seemed like they were going to run through the ground, and the dazzling light caused everyone to close their eyes. Li Hun really wanted to struggle free, but the ancient godly weapon's poison seemed to have been specially made for her, and coupled with the pressure from the cauldron above her head, she wasn't able to struggle free in a short period of time. As for this Godslayer, puff! Without any suspense, the Godslayer pierced through Li Hun's body, and a big hole appeared in Li Hun's lower abdomen. This was the effect of a chain reaction. As long as the ancient godly weapon was used correctly, it was entirely possible to kill a powerful expert. Just like Li Hun, if she wasn't poisoned, she wouldn't have been suppressed by the cauldron, and if she wasn't suppressed by the cauldron, she wouldn't have been pierced through by the Godslayer. Li Hun immediately spurted out a large amount of blood, and the blood flowing out of her lower abdomen was even more so. Li Hun's entire body instantly became a lot more listless, and the color on her face also became less and less. Chapter 630. The followers cheered when they saw the female devil's appearance. The Justice and Order Alliance once again defended the justice of the world. At this moment, two figures landed. Spacetime branch is taking over. Wang Debao and Bai Cixin furrowed their brows slightly when they saw the two of them land on the ground. They had heard of the spacetime branch from Qing Tian. Xiao Yi used to be a field agent of the spacetime branch, so he knew what the spacetime branch was in charge of. It was to catch those who had been reborn. But King want to catch me? Why didn't you show up before? Now that I'm beaten half to death, you're shameless to the extreme. The followers behind them were confused. It was the first time they heard about the spacetime branch. Wang Debao looked at the two. One of them was obviously the boss. He had an imposing appearance, long hair, and a mole under the corner of his mouth. Wang Debao was relieved. She wasn't as handsome as him. The mole had played the role of finishing touch and ruined her entire face. The one next to him was not bad looking. He was Wu Lu, Xiao Yi's former boss. The other one with the mole was the director of the space-time branch. Shi Zhengao, Director Shi. Why did they appear at this time? Just as Wang Debao had guessed, they were beaten to this state. Such a powerful woman couldn't be touched by the space-time branch. They could only monitor her a little. But now they didn't need to monitor her. They could just turn on the phone and know where she was. This woman was too arrogant. You can go now. Wu Lu took a step forward and said to Bai Cixin and Wang Debao expressionlessly. It was as if he was the boss here. Before Bai Cixin could speak, the Brothers of the Justice and Order Alliance disagreed. Fuck, who are you? Let us go. Who do you think you are? What bullshit space-time branch? I have never heard of it. Shi Zhengao's face didn't change. He stood with his hands behind his back. It was as if nothing could make him emotional. Wu Lu couldn't be like this. His face darkened. A huge surge of spiritual energy suddenly spread out. He waved his hand in the air. A huge astral wind engulfed the underlings and sent them flying. How dare you? How dare you shout in front of the chief? Wu Lu angrily shouted. If it wasn't for the rules, he would have killed these people. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao stood firmly on their feet. If both of them were sent flying, it would really be embarrassing. Shi Zhengao suddenly patted Wu Liu on the shoulder. Don't be so angry. It's not good to scare the children. Wu Lu respectfully lowered his head and retreated behind Shi Zhengao. You must be the boss of the Justice Alliance. Let me introduce myself. I am the director of the space-time branch, Shi Zhengao. We have been keeping an eye on this fugitive for a long time. We planned to arrest her tonight, but we didn't expect something like this to happen. Shi Zhengao's words sounded good. At least to Bai Cixin and Wang Debao, he had given them enough face. But Wang Debao did not look too good. Shi Zhengao, why was this name so unique? Could it be very high in history? Why not call him Shi Zhenchang? Because Wang Debao had to hold back his laughter, his face looked very twisted, as if he was about to hit someone. When Wang Debao saw Wang Debao's expression, it seemed like they were about to make a move. Right at this moment, Li Hun snorted coldly, "Do you really think that you can kill us like this? Wishful thinking. You damned men, I will use your blood to wipe my shoes later on." Shi Zhengao wrinkled his brows and stretched out his index finger. Baiu. A green ray of light shot out from his finger and directly penetrated through Li Hun's right shoulder. Li Hun, who was already heavily injured, once again received another injury. Shi Zhengao said lightly, "You still haven't realized your current situation." Despicable. Li Hun shouted out weakly. Another green ray of light shot out from Shi Zhengao's finger and penetrated through Li Hun's left shoulder as well. At first glance, both of Li Hun's arms were hanging down powerlessly. But even after receiving such a heavy injury, Li Hun did not make any sound. From this, it could be seen just how strong this woman's willpower was. In actuality, Li Hun just didn't want to show her weakness in front of that stinky man. In the past, it was precisely because of this that she was killed by that pair of adulterers. Never again. Shi Zhengao's action slightly shocked Bai Cixin and Wang Debao. The director of this space-time branch was indeed very powerful. Even they had to use an ancient artifact to hurt Li Hun. But this director could do it so easily. Could it be that what he said was true? What happened tonight was just a coincidence. In fact, it was not. If Li Hun was at full strength, Shi Zhengao would not be able to do anything. Although he could fight with Li Hun, it would be a great risk for him. Shi Zhengao would not put himself in danger, nor would he do something that he was not confident about. In the end, it was just that he couldn't beat Li Hun. But when Li Hun was injured, Shi Zhengao could completely suppress her, so it could be said that Shi Zhengao was still capable of hurting Li Hun. Just like just now. Bai Cixin was also thinking about a problem now. This woman was very useful to the Justice and Order Alliance, even if she was a corpse. If such a news spread, the Justice and Order Alliance's status would rise to a higher level. After all, this woman had killed so many people, which had already caused public anger. If she handed it over just like that, Bai Cixin would be unwilling. Besides, there were so many people watching. Once she handed it over, where would she put her face? Director Shi, you also know that this woman has killed a lot of people this month. I have to answer to everyone, Bai Cixin said in a sweet voice. This credit was obtained by her and her husband risking their lives. How could he just take her away just because he wanted her? How was that possible? Shi Jingyao did not refute and agreed. Indeed, the appearance of this woman has caused a lot of losses. So, it doesn't seem appropriate for me to hand it over to you just like that. Bai Cixin was not afraid of this director. She had an ancient artifact in her hands, and with her husband's strength, she could still fight them. If God supporting heaven and earth came, the situation would be better. However, Bai Cixin was not sure whether God supporting heaven and earth would come, because this man was too scheming. She had no idea what he was thinking all day long. It's indeed inappropriate, but this woman is also very useful to me. I hope Miss Bai can understand. Shi Jingyao also had his own difficulties. Recently, he had to show some results. This was because he heard that Ji Yang from the Space Administration was inspecting the work downstairs, and it was very likely that he would come here. If he did not have a good result, it would be very embarrassing. The appearance of Li Han was Shi Jingyao's goal. In addition to what she had done recently, Shi Jingyao was sure that someone would go deal with it. When the time came, he would come out and ask for her. Chapter 631. Bai Cixin could sense Shi Jingyao's determination to win the battle. Shi Jingyao could also feel that if he wanted to get this woman, he would have to pay a price. It all depended on the situation. Bai Cixin smiled lightly. Bureau Chief Shi, why don't you understand me? After all, to catch this woman, I lost a lot. Then Miss Bai, how can you let me take this woman away? Do you want to fight with us? Shi Jingyao said softly. There was a serious threat in his words. If they really fought, they might not be his opponent. But Shi Jingyao didn't want to fight. After all, the Time Branch had rules. What he did now was already against the rules. If it was brought up, he wouldn't do it. But it was still fine to bluff people. How could they know these rules? What Shi Jingyao didn't expect was that Xiao Yi had unintentionally mentioned these rules. He didn't know if Wang Debao took it to heart, but Bai Cixin remembered it. Bureau Chief Shi, what you're doing shouldn't be against the rules, right? Bai Cixin was brimming with confidence. In fact, she wasn't weak from the beginning. This sentence made both Shi Jingyao and Wu Lu confused for a moment. How did this woman know about the space-time branch? Bai Cixin added and smiled, don't be too surprised. I have a friend who is your field agent. He told me about your situation. Who is it? How dare you reveal the time branch? Wu Lu shouted in a deep voice. Too bold. Don't you know you signed a confidentiality agreement? I'm afraid you won't be able to find him. He is Xiao Yi. Hearing Bai Cixin's words, Wu Lu's face turned serious. Of course Shi Jingyao knew Xiao Yi because he was also one of the reborn. His file was there. But he didn't expect that as a reborn, Xiao Yi would become a field agent of the Time Branch. It seemed that this Wu Lu did something behind his back. Wu Lu did hide it from Shi Jingyao. After all, Xiao Yi's strength was there. He was the most suitable fighter. But he didn't expect that Xiao Yi didn't repay his kindness. He even revealed the rules of the Time Branch. It seemed that he was wrong about Xiao Yi. When he was beaten up like that, he recruited him, but he used this kind of method to repay him. Damn it, it's good that he died. Miss Bai, what are your conditions? How can you give this woman to us? Shi Jingyao gave in. He did not intend to use force to snatch her, so he decided to trade. Bai Cixin felt that this was an opportunity. If there was something good to exchange, she would naturally accept it. However, he didn't know Shi Jinggao's bottom line, so he could only say, "Director Shi, how much do you think this woman is worth?" Shi Jinggao sneered in his heart. This woman was really smart. She actually wanted to trick him. What did the space-time branch have the most? It was the primordial spirit. Even if it was the worst primordial spirit, they would probably want it. After all, anyone who could cultivate an essence soul was an expert. However, Wang Debao and Bai Cixin had not cultivated their nascent divinities. Shi Jinggao stretched out his palm, and a golden sphere radiated light. When the primordial spirit was revealed, there was an uproar. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao also felt that this thing's energy was enormous. For the current him, it was a good thing. However, Bai Cixin also knew that this was probably not Shi Jinggao's bottom line. "What is this?" Wang Debao asked curiously. Drifting Soul spat out a mouthful of blood. "What a bunch of idiots. They can't even recognize a primordial spirit." A primordial spirit. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao did not expect this to be a primordial spirit. It was indeed very powerful. "I wonder if the two of you are satisfied? I want to exchange this primordial spirit for this woman." Shi Jinggao could see the greed in their eyes. This was good news. Wang Debao did not say anything. It was all up to his wife. He was not good at this. Bai Cixin hid her surprised expression and said softly, "A primordial spirit is enough to exchange for this woman? This woman is only worth this much?" At this time, Drifting Soul suddenly let out a low laugh. "Idiot, primordial spirits are also divided into high and low levels. This primordial spirit is the worst." Shi Jinggao's face darkened. He stretched out his finger again, and a green light pierced through Drifting Soul's chest. This time, Drifting Soul almost died. Now, he did not even have the strength to speak. Although he was already facing death, Drifting Soul's bodily functions were quickly recovering. This was the self-healing ability of a strong expert. If it was not for the giant cauldron suppression, his injury should have recovered faster. After hearing this, Bai Cixin chuckled. "Bureau Chief Shi, is there a difference between high and low levels?" "Miss Bai, how trustworthy can a witch's words be?" Shi Jinggao chuckled. In his heart, he wanted to kill this witch for talking too much. Bai Cixin sighed, "Then it's difficult for me. After all, you know how useful this woman is. Miss Bai is really greedy." Shi Jinggao said in a low voice. Another primordial spirit appeared in his hand, and the pressure it emitted was much stronger than before. Shi Jinggao said in a low voice, "Miss Bai, 2 primordial spirits for this woman, but I also want you to know that I am the bureau chief of the spacetime branch." This was a serious warning from Shi Jinggao. Don't push your luck. Stop when you're ahead is what you should do. Of course, Bai Cixin knew this. What she wanted to do was to squeeze out more profits, and now she was very successful. The purpose of this which was to increase the prestige of the Righteous and Righteous Alliance, but the Righteous and Righteous Alliance was still heaven and earth, not Bai Cixin's. But this primordial spirit could be used by itself to increase its own strength. So this trade was definitely worth it. As for the people behind them, they could just kill them later. Of course, this matter couldn't be known by heaven and earth. One should know that heaven and earth seem to value it a lot, otherwise, they wouldn't have given out so many ancient artifacts. Bai Cixin stretched out her slender hand. Shi Jinggao laughed and raised his hand slightly, and the 2 primordial spirits flew into Bai Cixin's hand. "Miss Bai is indeed a smart woman," Shi Jinggao said lightly. Actually, it was not a big deal to exchange for 2 primordial spirits like this, but Bai Cixin's attitude made Shi Jinggao a little unhappy. Bai Cixin said in a sweet voice, "Bureau Chief Shi should know how to use them." Shi Jinggao heaved a sigh of relief. He really wanted to give this woman a slap. As Shi Jinggao waved his hand, the 2 primordial spirits sank into Bai Cixin and Wang Debao's forehead. A fierce pressure suddenly bloomed, and the golden light between their eyebrows shone brightly, and it did not subside for a long time. After a long time, it finally calmed down. Wang Debao clenched his fists. Compared to himself just now, it was simply a complete change. Bai Cixin's face turned cold, and she slowly stretched out her slender hand towards her subordinates. These people knew something they shouldn't know. So there could only be one result. Chapter 632. When Bai Cixin stretched out her palm, everyone felt a strange spiritual pressure that appeared beside them, as if something was pressing down on them. Alliance Master Bai. Alliance Master Bai. What are you doing? Alliance Master Bai, don't kill us. That's right, we don't know anything, don't kill us. Bai Cixin wasn't a soft-hearted woman, she was decisive when it came to killing. This point was a bit stronger than Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. If Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were here, they wouldn't kill their subordinates. Along with Bai Cixin's clenching of her hand, the subordinates immediately exploded and died. Feeling the surge of power, Bai Cixin was very satisfied. Just now, that powerful being entered my body. I am much more powerful than my husband. Of course, Wang Debao wouldn't mind this point, because the more powerful his wife was, the more he would feel a sense of accomplishment. Why would he feel a sense of accomplishment? When his wife eats popping candy, that would be a man's sense of accomplishment. Good move. Shi Zhengyao even applauded. In actuality, even if Bai Cixin didn't make a move, he would have made a move. After all, these people had seen and heard too much. Bai Cixin revealed a light smile. Bureau Chief Shi, this woman is yours. After finished speaking, Bai Cixin planned to leave with her husband. Right now, they still can't go and meet Qing Tiandi. The spiritual pressure is very unstable. I have to properly control it. I can't let Qing Tiandi see through anything. Miss Bai, wait a moment. Shi Zhengyao suddenly had an idea. This idea was actually pretty much the same as Wu Lu's idea. Bureau Chief Shi, is there anything else? Bai Cixin turned around and asked curiously. I wonder if I can cooperate with Miss Bai. Cooperate? Bai Cixin was puzzled. She immediately started calculating the pros and cons. Shi Zhengyao just wanted to use Bai Cixin's identity to do things for him. This way, the pressure on the space-time branch would be reduced a bit. Those field agents below them were still relatively weak. As for why they didn't distribute the primordial spirit, this was also the rule of the space-time branch. If the people below them rebelled, it would be even more troublesome to deal with them. Shi Zhengyao nodded his head and said lightly, in return, I will also provide some help. Bai Cixin silently calculated in his heart. The ship Sky supporting Earth was very unstable, and he really should find a partner to cooperate with. This space-time branch seemed to be a good choice. This primordial spirit could even be released. How bad could it be? The most important thing was that this was a cooperation. Compared to being with Sky lifting Earth, they were subordinates. There was a difference between the two. This was also a way out. What does Miss Bai think? Bai Cixin pretended that she was having a hard time making a decision. She was putting on a show for Shi Zhen. After all, she could not agree so quickly. What kind of help can Director Shi give me? Bai Cixin asked curiously. As long as you help me, I will naturally do my best to help you. This is cooperation. Then how can I trust you? Bai Cixin asked in return. Shi Zhengyao rubbed onto his sideburns and said eerily, I think, if I were to kill the two of you right now, no one would know, right? Bai Cixin and Wang Debao's faces darkened. Shi Zhengyao was right. All right. After a long while, Bai Cixin finally agreed. It was better to have one more friend than one more enemy. Miss Bai is a straightforward person. I wish us a happy cooperation. A happy cooperation. The two shook hands and came to a consensus. Go and bring the person over. Shi Zhengyao said faintly. Tonight's harvest was quite big. Yes. Wu Lu said respectfully. The decision that I made in private caused the director to be at a disadvantage in the negotiation. When I return later, I will definitely be scolded. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao were not in a hurry to leave. After all, they were considered to be partners now. If something unexpected were to happen later on, they still had to help. However, just when the husband and wife thought of something unexpected happened. Ah! A series of ghostly wails rang out from the sky, as if a person falling from a high altitude was crying for help. Wu-Lu immediately became vigilant as he raised his head and looked at the night sky. A black figure could be seen flying over at high speed. To be more precise, it was flying over at high speed. Ah! Floating World let out a series of screams. Due to him being too excited, he didn't even know how to land. There's no helping it, I am completely unable to control my strength. Shi Jingyao tightly wrinkled his brows. This black figure was actually flying towards the cauldron. Wang Debao seemed to be able to hear a muffled sound as a piece of meat patty stuck onto the cauldron. As the distance got closer and closer, everyone looked at the scene of the accident curiously. Bang! The black figure crashed onto the cauldron. However, a terrifying pressure immediately spread out in all directions. This was the aura that was emitted out from an ancient godly artifact being smashed. The cauldron in the sky could be seen to be smashed into pieces, and pieces of the cauldron fell onto the ground. Without the restriction of the cauldron, Li Hun fell onto the ground and was unable to move. However, his recovery speed had increased by a lot. The four looked at the scene dumbfoundedly. That black figure actually smashed an ancient godly artifact into pieces. How is this possible? Even Shi Jingyao exclaimed in admiration. An ancient godly artifact is much more powerful than an ancient godly item, and yet, this black figure actually smashed it into pieces with just his physical body. Just how strong is that black figure? Boom! Floating World's entire body smashed onto the ground. The ground beneath the four slightly trembled, and a large crater appeared in front of them. The pitiful Li Hun was very close to Floating World, and thus, Li Hun was nowhere to be seen. If Yi Hua were to find out about this matter, he would definitely feel that there is something wrong with his judgment of people. I asked you to go and save him, yet you buried him instead. As expected, you are even more arrogant than a husky. Floating World laid on the large crater and stared blankly at the sky. I was scared to death, luckily, I didn't die. Sitting up, Floating World checked his body, and discovered that his body was in good condition, not a single piece of his skin had fallen off. However, when I fell onto the ground just now, I seemed to have smashed into something, and that thing seems to be very valuable. I hope that I won't have to pay for it. Suddenly, Floating World seemed to have thought of something. I am here to save the big sister, and I clearly sensed that she was here just now. Where is she? Floating World stood up and looked around, but I didn't discover anyone. On the other hand, there are 4 people over there. Floating World felt that I should go and ask them. It will be troublesome if I can't find the big sister. With a light leap, Floating World landed in front of Shi Jingyao and the others. Floating World revealed a smile on his face, and his white teeth looked rather clean. Just that, his clothes were a bit worn out. Did you all see a woman? Is she very beautiful, very fierce, the kind that likes to kill men? Floating World asked curiously with an innocent look on his face. I am just short of saying that I am an honest person. The 4 did not expect that this black figure was actually here to look for the demonic woman. Floating World immediately felt that the situation wasn't good. Wang Debao casually pointed towards a direction. She ran over there. Chapter 633. Dou Fusher looked at the direction that Wang Debao was pointing at, and he went into a daze for a moment. Soon after, he smiled and said, "Thank you." After saying that, he disappeared on the spot. His speed was so fast that it left people speechless. However, Dou Fusher was a little confused. He seemed to have seen this man and woman somewhere before. Where? Why don't I have any impression of him? Seeing that Dou Fusher had left, the 4 of them let out sighs of relief. Although this person was very powerful, his brain wasn't very good. The person he was looking for had already been buried in the pit. Fortunately, he's an honest man, Wang Debao muttered. Bai Cixin nodded. If she had met someone with a brain, she would have noticed that something was wrong. Honey, don't you think we've seen that man somewhere before? Wang Debao suddenly asked in a low voice. As soon as her husband mentioned it, Bai Cixin immediately became concerned. When she recalled the man's appearance just now, her face gradually darkened. Suddenly, he remembered. Hubby. At my brother's funeral. Bai Cixin said in a low voice. Wang Debao also recalled that the man who came to the funeral and babbled nonsense seemed to be Tang Wushuang's subordinate. But wasn't that man killed by his wife? That's not right. Didn't you kill that person? Wang Debao asked doubtfully. Bai Cixin heaved a sigh of relief and said faintly, maybe they just look alike. Shi Zhengao searched for the information of the man in his mind and found that he was not someone who had been reborn. Where did this man come from? Why was he so strong? Chief, we have to take him away quickly. Wu Lu stood at the side and reminded in a low voice. If that man discovered that something was wrong, he would definitely come back to kill them. Shi Zhengao agreed with her. Hurry up and take her away, lest a long night brings trouble. Go quickly. Shi Zhengao said in a deep voice. He couldn't stay calm anymore. However, Wu Lu had just lifted his foot when a gale hit him. Dou Fusher's figure appeared again. The four of them were startled. He had returned so quickly. He must have found something wrong. Sure enough, he couldn't be fooled. This man was still very smart. Dou Fusher turned around and smiled, revealing his white teeth once again. I dropped my phone when I landed, and it cost me more than 10,000 RMB. It's an Apple XS. What about Max? Selfies can even beautify your face. The four of them were speechless. Alright, I overestimated him. I didn't expect him to be such a chinibu. Shi Zhengao chuckled. It's really not bad. I'm using it too. Then he took out his XS. Max took it out. Dou Fusher paused for a moment, then actually walked toward Shi Zhengao. This made the group feel even more pressured. Why are you walking over here? Hurry up and find your phone. My phone's battery is draining pretty quickly. Do you have the same phenomenon? Dou Fusher looked at Shi Zhengao and asked curiously. Shi Zhengao regretted taking out his phone, but he still smiled and said, maybe you didn't download the system properly. It might be better to turn off some of the Bluetooth functions. Oh. Really? I just bought this phone not long ago, and there are still many things that I don't know. Can you teach me? Shi Zhengao, Bai Cixin who was at the side almost collapsed. Bureau Chief Shi, why did you have to take out your mobile phone? Other people just took the mobile phone and left. Moreover, the demoness was still buried in the ground. What if she suffocated to death later? What could Shi Zhen do? The man in front of him was very strong, so he could only answer his questions carefully. The few of them were about to collapse from playing Floating World, and he actually still asked how to take screenshots. Don't you know how to read the manual? Bai Cixin finally couldn't help but say softly, handsome, you haven't found your phone yet. Dou Fusher slapped his forehead. He had completely forgotten about the important matter at hand. Find my phone. Big brother, your business is to look for little Missy. He was not looking for a cell phone. Dou Fusher once again came to the crater and stood where he was lying. Sure enough, he saw his 10,000 yuan phone. I took the phone and looked at it for a while. Luckily, the phone's screen was not broken. If it was broken, it would be very expensive. Found it. Dou Fusher waved the phone in his hand. The four of them were very cooperative. They all smiled and even warmly applauded in celebration. It was as if Dou Fusher had done something amazing, causing people's scalps to go numb. Just as Dou Fusher was about to leave the crater, the mound of earth beside him suddenly slid down a little, revealing a fair and tender little hand. This caused the hearts of the four to sink to the bottom. It's over. Dou Fusher was stunned for a moment. A hand had actually appeared. What was going on? It should be a corpse, right? Let's not bother about this kind of thing. It's more important to find the big sister. That's right. Let's not bother about this. Dou Fusher could be seen walking towards the four of them. This action caused the four of them to be dumbfounded. They had no idea what Dou Fusher was trying to do. Aren't you looking for someone? The person is right there, why aren't you going? Dou Fusher just didn't want to bother about other people's business. However, when they saw Dou Fusher's action, the four of them heaved a sigh of relief. It's fortunate that there's something wrong with this expert's brain. Otherwise, it would be hard to say. However, Dou Fusher suddenly stopped walking. This stop almost caused the four of their hearts to stop. This man is too troublesome. Just by going back and forth a few times, he has already caused us to tremble in fear. Also, what is he trying to do now? Bastard. Can't you just do everything in one go? Dou Fusher felt that he was a good person. The greater one's ability, the greater the things one could do. Saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda, even if it was a corpse. Looking at Dou Fusher walking towards the demonic woman, the four of them felt their scalps going numb. Didn't you see it just now? She had already left, so why are you walking back now? That's right. Dou Fusher turned on the light on his phone and lightly tapped on the white arm. Not to mention, the arm is quite smooth. It should be a female, right? Looking at the color of the skin, it should be a beautiful woman. What a pity. Dou Fusher grabbed onto Li Hun's arm and pulled. I actually can't pull her arm. How is this possible? Dou Fusher took a look at the four of them. He felt that he had lost a bit of face. I can't even pull a single person out. Therefore, he pulled with all his might. Dou Fusher had not gotten used to his own strength at all, and he had no idea how heavy his pull was. Li Hun's delicate body could be seen crashing into a pile of dirt at the side like a cannonball, immediately raising up a cloud of dust that was tens of meters tall. When the four of them saw this scene, their jaws almost dropped onto the ground. They felt that this man was here to kill the demonic woman, and not to save the demonic woman. Dou Fusher was also a bit stupefied. When did my strength become so great? Just pulling a single person out can cause such an effect. This is simply too cruel. I've sinned. I actually massaged a corpse. Dou Fusher hurriedly ran to the opposite pit to look for the corpse, and very quickly, he dug out Li Hun's delicate body. Chapter 634. When he saw Li Hun who was on the verge of death, Dou Fusher felt unwell. Isn't this the big sister that I have to protect? Why did she become like this? Dou Fusher hurriedly wiped the little sister's face, wanting to confirm it. That's right, that plum blossom mark on her forehead is too classic, it's her. His honor told me to protect her, but just now, Dou Fusher swallowed his saliva. This isn't good, and looking at the big sister's appearance, she seems to be dying. What should I do? The four people who were standing far away did not take any action. They wanted to know just what this man came here for. Dou Fusher carried Li Hun out, then placed her on the ground. The big sister's injuries are so serious. Her abdomen, chest, shoulders, are all filled with holes. However, her chest was still moving up and down. Dou Fusher took a glance at her chest, then immediately shifted his gaze away. So big, I should save the big sister first. If she dies, I won't be able to explain myself to his honor. Dou Fusher lightly moved aside the big sister's hair. Dou Fusher feels so beautiful, coupled with the plum blossom mark on her forehead, he is simply about to explode. I feel that she is even more beautiful than Zishan's sister-in-law. Of course, it's just a little bit, it's all because of the plum blossom mark. Dou Fusher could be seen taking a deep breath, then opening Li Hun's cherry lips. Puff puff puff, can artificial respiration make such a sound? At least, that is what Shi Jingao thinks. However, from this point, it can be seen that this man came to save her. The situation is a bit bad. Seeing Dou Fusher's actions, Wang Debao couldn't help but nod his head. As expected, cultivators can save people like this. I've learned it. Is artificial respiration supposed to save someone who is injured like this? You only know how to take advantage of others. Dou Fusher is just a lowly robber, his first aid method is still very old-fashioned. Even if he has the ability now, he doesn't know how to save someone. Therefore, he can only use artificial respiration. He definitely doesn't have any intention of taking advantage of others. One must know that Do Fusher is an honest person. How would he do something as despicable as taking advantage of others? Although I feel that the big sister's mouth is very sweet. Li Hun woke up. She was originally injured badly, but after the restriction of the giant cauldron disappeared, she started to recover quickly. However, a huge force scattered the spiritual energy that he had gathered and buried him in the mound, almost suffocating him to death. Then, for some unknown reason, his entire body was sent flying, and his internal organs were almost dislocated from the impact. Even his healing speed was much faster than before. Just now, he heard puffing sounds beside his ears, his lips seemed to be moving a little, and there was even air blowing into his mouth. He opened his eyes. But when she saw a man. When he had kissed her with that dirty mouth, Li Hun had almost died. She hadn't even let that stinky man touch her, not even letting him hold her hand, but now, she had actually been kissed by a man. Puff. Soul Departing coughed up another mouthful of blood. It seemed that Li Hun had been killed by the adulterer and the prostitute for a reason. You didn't even allow others to touch your hands, so how could they not be angry? Do Fusher was relieved when he saw Soul Drift spurting out blood. He said softly, "All right. You'll be fine after you spit out the blood." Soul Departing's beautiful eyes bulged. Screw your sister's extravasated blood. If he could move his body now, he would definitely cut this man into pieces. Soul Departing looked at the 4 people at the side, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. These 4 bastards. Once I recover, I will definitely take your lives. Don't turn your head if you're injured, it's not good for your neck. Do Fusher helped to straighten Soul Departing's head. Soul Departing was in disbelief. What did my injury have to do with my neck? The 4 of them felt that they couldn't stay here any longer, and all of them disappeared from the spot. If Soul Departing could speak, something would definitely happen. Soul Departing wanted to kill this man in front of him even more now. He had actually used his hands to grab his head. Do Fusher didn't pay attention to the 4 of them. In his heart, he just wanted to protect Soul Departing, and he didn't need to worry about anything else. Looking at Soul Departing's strange gaze, Do Fusher laughed lightly. "All right, you don't need to thank me for saving you. I was just doing a good deed." Soul Departing was furious. "Do I need you to save me? You pervert, you are the same as those men, all bastards. Actually, do you know that we have met before? Last time when you stood on the streets, I told you to be careful, do you remember?" I guess you don't remember either. But, how did you end up in such a state? If I came a bit later, you would have been dead. Fortunately, I managed to save you in time, it was really dangerous." When Do Fusher said these words, he felt a bit guilty. It couldn't be that I caused her to end up in such a state, right? Hearing Do Fusher's nagging, Soul Departing felt that she was going to vomit blood again. Also, are you planning to sit here and nag for the entire night? My name is Do Fusher, what's your name? Forget it, cold and aloof beauties usually don't talk, I understand. But, who asked me to protect you, little mischievous fellow? After saying that, Do Fusher stretched out his hand and touched Soul Departing's face. Pooh! Soul Departing was so angry that she vomited blood again. Seeing that Soul Departing vomited blood again, Do Fusher felt relieved. Just spit out the blood and it will be fine. Soul Departing. Do Fusher looked at the mark on Soul Departing's forehead, and he stretched out his hand and touched it. "This mark of yours is really beautiful, was it drawn?" After saying that, he even rubbed his hands a few times. From the looks of it, it doesn't seem to be a painting. Do Fusher saw Li Hun's expression and was speechless. He swallowed his saliva and said, "I'm sorry, I just touched it out of curiosity. Don't look at me like that." That's right, Li Hun's eyes were about to spit fire. He actually dared to touch his birthmark. No man had ever touched her birthmark before. Bastard, there wasn't a single man who was good. Let's head back. It's getting a little cold here. Do Fusher helped solace up. This was the first time Do Fusher was supporting a woman. Do Fusher's posture was a little off. He had touched a place that he shouldn't have. What did you put on your body? It's so soft. Do Fusher asked curiously. Li Hun coughed out another mouthful of blood and fainted in Do Fusher's arms. Do Fusher stared blankly for a moment before smiling. I'll be fine after vomiting. The two of them then disappeared from where they stood. Floating World had finally completed the first step of the quest, finding Soulcast and almost killing the quest target. Do Fusher arrived at his hometown, Weiyang Village. Do Fusher felt that he should first leave the little big sister here for a few days so that she can properly recover from her injuries. Do Fusher walked into the house that was built with mud bricks and saw that there wasn't anyone inside. All of Do Fusher's family members had passed away, and the only property left was this old house. The central house was pitch black. Do Fusher walked towards the small house on the right, opened the wooden door, and turned on the lights. Afterward, Do Fusher lightly placed Li Hun on the bed. Begging for monthly votes, begging for monthly votes, begging, begging. Chapter 635. Do Fusher took a look at the few small holes on Li Hun's body, and discovered that they had actually healed quite a bit. This woman is truly mystical. However, seeing that her clothes are dirty, I should help her change into a new one, lest she dirties my bed. The blanket is also hard to wash. His Honor wanted me to protect her, but now, I have to take care of her. This is truly troublesome. Walking out of the room, Do Fusher began boiling water, then took out a few sets of clothes to change into. Although these clothes are a bit old, I'll just let her use them for now, lest she says that I'm stingy. After pouring out the boiling water, Do Fusher tested the temperature of the water, then poured a bit of cold water. At this moment, Li Hun woke up from her coma. She looked at her surroundings and was a bit confused, but it was more important for her to recover from her injuries. In just a few hours, when I recover, all of you are going to die. Especially that man just now. He actually kissed me, touched me, and even touched my birthmark. I must kill him to silence him. There isn't a single good man in this world. You're awake. Do Fusher walked over while carrying the basin and said with a smile. Li Hun stared at Do Fusher, as if she could kill Do Fusher with her stare. She wanted to scold him, but she was unable to make a sound. There's something wrong with your gaze. I saved you and even brought you back. After speaking, Do Fusher placed the basin on the ground, then took the towel that was on his shoulder and placed it in the water to wash. Looking at Do Fusher's actions, Li Hun tightly wrinkled her brows. What is he trying to do? Do Fusher squeezed the towel dry, then said carefully, I saw that your body was a bit dirty, so I helped you wipe it. Don't misunderstand, I just don't want you to dirty the bed, it's very hard to wash. The corner of Li Hun's mouth slightly twitched. Who cares about you? Scram. Is my body something that a man like you can touch? Although Li Hun thought that, she could only use her eyes to express her thoughts, she was completely unable to say anything. Don't be too sad, everyone has times where they get beaten up. I'm holding your hand, if you don't say anything, I'll take it that you're agreeing. Bastard. When I recover, I'll definitely kill you. When Do Fusher saw that Li Hun was still not speaking, he sighed in his heart. This woman wants me to take advantage of her, does she think I don't know? I, Do Fusher, am also a decent man. If it wasn't for His Honor's order, how could I possibly have contacted you? Gently holding on to Drifting Soul's small hand, Do Fusher began to carefully wipe the dust off his fingers, not even letting go of his fingernails. Your hands are so beautiful. Do Fusher couldn't help but sigh. This soul-leaving palm was very slender and soft. It felt very nice to touch. Do Fusher couldn't help but blush. This was the first time he had touched a girl's hand, so he was a bit shy. Li Hun was so angry that his entire body was trembling. This bastard was actually playing with his palm, pervert. Looking at Li Hun's slightly rosy face, Do Fusher became even more shy. This is a man and a woman, I have sinned, these are all quests, nothing more. Lifting soul departing sleeves, Do Fusher could not help but sigh, so white. Hearing Do Fusher's words, drifting soul almost fainted from anger. She even felt a deep sense of despair. Even if this man wanted to do something to her, she wouldn't be able to resist. Sorry, I'm just speaking the truth. You're really beautiful. Do Fusher still wanted to affirm drifting soul's beauty. Upon hearing Do Fusher's words, drifting soul who was originally angry snorted in her heart. Aren't you just spouting nonsense? Men only know how to flirt, I've seen too many of them. After wiping drifting soul's arm clean, Do Fusher changed a basin of water. Let me help you wipe your face, it's all bloody. Do Fusher picked up a towel and wiped drifting soul's face, while drifting soul's eyes were still in a state where flames were shooting out from them. Their eyes met, and Do Fusher immediately turned his face away. After wiping drifting soul's face clean, drifting soul's face became even more beautiful. Do Fusher. You have to stay calm, don't be charmed by the enemy, she is definitely trying to seduce me right now. Your clothes are all torn, so I found you a new set of clothes, and I'll also help you wipe your body. Don't misunderstand, I'm just doing this out of kindness. If you don't want it, just tell me, and you can wipe your body yourself. Drifting soul really wanted to shout at Do Fusher to get lost, but the sound that came out of her mouth was indeed. Do Fusher was startled, and he hurriedly said, I'm not such a casual man. If you want to date me, you have to take it slow, you can't be too impatient. Drifting soul, I feel like fainting right now. How can there be such a shameless man? I'm truly in despair. You can be at ease, I'll help you cover your important parts, I won't look at them. Drifting soul clenched her teeth tightly. Right now, she wished that she could eat Do Fusher's flesh. Do Fusher was still a very upright person. After taking off drifting soul's clothes, he immediately covered up drifting soul's important parts, guaranteeing that drifting soul wouldn't look at them. Right now, drifting soul had already given up resisting. After I have a good night's rest, I'll kill him tomorrow morning. I don't even have to wait until morning. To actually do such a thing while I'm injured, shameless to the extreme. After wiping drifting soul's body clean, Do Fusher let out a sigh of relief, and then helped drifting soul change into a new set of clothes. Drifting soul was clearly a classical beauty, but in an instant, Do Fusher had turned her into a village woman. All right, you should rest early, good night. Do Fusher said to drifting soul, then walked out of the room and went to the other side to rest. Listening to Do Fusher's voice, drifting soul slowly closed her beautiful eyes. Right now, my main goal is to recover my strength, and then kill that man. Chop him into meat paste and feed him to the dogs. I have to wash away my shame. For the sake of achieving this goal, drifting soul began entering into meditation and quickly recovered. Meanwhile, after taking a bath, Do Fusher lied down on the bed and slept. My quilt is dirty, I still have to wash it tomorrow. If I were to find a wife, I would definitely have to find a wife who knows how to cook and wash clothes. Although this woman is pretty, she isn't my type. I heard that Lee Hong-gu is a henpecked husband, and that he doesn't even have any status in the family. Thinking about it, how did Lee Hong-gu survive those terrifying days? His honor is still the most awesome one. His two wives are so beautiful, and their strength is also so formidable. In front of his honor, my goal is to be a man like his honor. While thinking, Do Fusher fell into a deep sleep. He was indeed a bit tired today. After all, Do Fusher wasn't able to adapt to the sudden increase in strength, and thus, he fell into a deep sleep. In the dead of the night, drifting soul suddenly opened her beautiful eyes, then clenched her fists and muttered, "Your time of death has come." It must be said that drifting soul's recovery speed was very fast. A few hours ago, she was still on the verge of death, but right now, she had actually completely recovered. Sitting up, drifting soul pushed open the door and decided to first go and kill that stinky man. Chapter 636. Do Fusher was in a deep sleep and did not feel anything at all. He did not even notice the aura emitted by the soul-stealing sword. Drifting soul looked at Do Fusher's face and almost fainted from anger. Especially the corner of his mouth that was slightly raised, as if he was very happy. Why was he happy? It must be because he had taken advantage of her, so he seemed very happy. Go to hell. Scum. Drifting Soul didn't think too much about it. He pointed his sword at Do Fusher. This sword was aimed at Do Fusher's arm. Drifting Soul wanted to chop off that pair of evil hands. His entire body had been touched by him. Ding! The tip of the sword stabbed into Do Fusher's arm, producing a low sound, but not even a piece of skin was cut off. Li Hun's jaw dropped as he looked at the sword in his hand. It couldn't be a fake, right? Do Fusher pursed his lips, slapped himself on the arm, then turned over and went back to sleep. I thought that it was a mosquito. Drifting Soul felt terrible. His weapon couldn't hurt him at all. How was that possible? Could it be that his strength hadn't recovered yet? That's not right. He had already recovered. However, Drifting Soul didn't care too much about it. He picked up his sword and slashed down ferociously, sword light flashing wildly. A few minutes later, Drifting Soul's breathing quickened as Do Fusher was still sleeping on the bed. However, his weapon had no effect on him at all. It was like a toy, but even if it was a toy, it would still be awakened. And he was actually scratching an itch. My attacks are just scratching an itch for you. Bastard. I don't believe I can't kill you today. Filthy man. I'll make you explode and die. Soul Departing spread open its hands, forming a pink mist around its hands. With a single look, one could tell that it wasn't anything good. To be able to cause a man's body to explode, one could well imagine how powerful it was. You will die in torture, and I will slowly enjoy your pain. Soul Drifting Away let out a strange laugh, fantasizing about Do Fusher exploding and dying, letting his blood splatter all over the room. As Soul Drifting's arms moved, two streams of pink mist shot toward the sleeping Do Fusher and entered his nostrils. Seeing this result, Li Hun snorted coldly, "How dare you take advantage of me? Repent in hell." Do Fusher suddenly sneezed, rubbed his nose, and went back to sleep. Wandering Soul stood on the side and watched. 1 minute later, Li Hun was a little puzzled. Why hadn't it flared up yet? 5 minutes later. Li Hun frowned. 10 minutes later. The departed soul was a little uneasy. Why was there no effect? This man was actually snoring. It's definitely because my strength hasn't recovered properly. It must be like this. Just as Soul Departing was consoling himself, Do Fusher farted. However, this fart was a little too powerful, and a black pinkish color floated out. It seemed that the pink mist had been released by the floating battle, and there was even a black unknown object in the middle. Since he was closer to the soul, he was suffocated by the smoke and his entire body seemed to be turning green. This man actually farted, and he even smelled it. Immediately, a wave of retching came from his chest, but other than the urge to vomit, there seemed to be a ball of fire condensing in his abdomen. His whole body was burning, and his skin had turned pink. Li Hun was shocked. Could it be that he had suffered a backlash? This was impossible. Without any hesitation, the soul guide sat down cross-legged in an attempt to fend off the bizarre flames, but, just as Lin Fan was channeling his soul separation technique to defend himself, he felt even more unbearable. It was as though his body was about to explode. Only then did Wandering Soul realize that this was the effect of his move. Moving to block it would only accelerate the explosion. Bastard. Why is it like this? It is even more ferocious than my own, and my entire body is itching unbearably. Ah! Soul Departing couldn't help but cry out. This cry woke up Do Fusher, who was in a deep sleep. Do Fusher rubbed his eyes and looked at Soul Departing, who was sitting at the bedside, and his muddled mind seemed to have become much clearer. Why did you come out? Do Fusher asked curiously. Right at this moment, Soul Departing almost fainted, because this was a man's voice. Just a simple conversation was already enough to drive Soul Departing crazy. Seeing that Soul Departing's expression seemed to be in great pain, Do Fusher asked with concern, "Are you all right?" Is your wound hurting? Sol Depari was originally here to kill someone, but in the end, he ended up like this, causing Sol Depari to almost want to commit suicide. Indeed, Sol Depari wanted to commit suicide right now, but the desire in his heart was already greater than the thought of committing suicide. Looking at Sol Depari who was lying on the ground, Do Fusher had no choice but to stand up and hold on to Sol Depari's shoulder. It's cold to sit on the ground, your wound has not healed yet. This time, it came from a man's hormones. Sol Depari smelled it, and even felt it, especially when Do Fusher's hands touched her shoulders. Sol Depari's entire body trembled for a moment, and she felt much more comfortable. However, what came after that was an even more intense desire. Do Fusher also realized that Sol Depari was acting strangely, and with his brows furrowed, he said, "Young miss, I was forced to do what I did previously. Although I saw a little, as long as I don't say anything, no one will know about it. If you really want me to repay you with my body, please give me a few days to think about it. After all, this is a big matter in my life, and I still don't know if you are my cup of tea or not, so I cannot be too hasty." Do Fusher felt that his rejection was rather gentle, and it wouldn't cause her any impact. "How about this, you go back and have a good sleep first, if there's anything else, we can talk about it tomorrow. Actually, I am a good person." After saying that, Do Fusher felt that the big sister should be able to understand what he meant. Sol Depari couldn't take it anymore. Every single word that Do Fusher said was like a bomb that landed on her heart. Just now, she had said at least 100 words, and her tolerance had already reached a limit. Sol Depari grabbed onto Do Fusher's clothes, and looking at the man in front of her, she really wanted to kill this man. Even if she had to die together with him, she wouldn't hesitate to do so, but right now, she actually couldn't bear to kill this man, and even had those dirty thoughts. You, what are you doing? If you have something to say, we can talk it out." "Who is talking to you?" Sol Depari directly pressed Do Fusher onto the bed, and even tore apart Do Fusher's clothes. Everything happened too quickly, and before Do Fusher could even react, he was already being ridden. "Just what are you trying to do? I am not the kind of person you think I am." Do Fusher began to struggle violently, but his hands were firmly pressed down by Sol Depari. Looking at Sol Depari's breathtakingly beautiful face, Do Fusher tried to persuade again, "Even if you want to date me, there has to be a process, right? You are skipping too many steps like this. Furthermore, I don't even know what kind of personality you have, so listen to me first, don't take off my pants." Sol Depari shouted out coldly, "Shut up." Although her voice was very cold, her expression was very flirtatious, and it gave people a strange feeling. However, Do Fusher was also a strong man, so how could he let Sol Depari get what he wanted so easily? Sol Depari seemed to have realized what Do Fusher was thinking, and she looked at Do Fusher coldly and said, "Hurry up." Chapter 637. "I say, why are you like this? Didn't I just look at you a little? Is there a need to be so direct? Why don't we sit down and have a good chat? If our personalities aren't right, we'll fight even if we're together. Also, I don't like women who are too domineering. I like those who are timid and helpless, those who know how to cook, wash, and take care of children." Do Fusher stated his request in one breath. Li Hun didn't hear it at all, she just wanted it now, but this man wouldn't let her. Bastard. Exasperated, drifting soul tore at the clothes on his body, causing them to instantly disappear. Seeing this, Do Fusher felt a gush of hot air in his nostrils, unconsciously feeling respect. Li Hun sensed it, he exclaimed that this was a good opportunity, and sat down mercilessly. This made Li Hun moan in pleasure. It was as if all the pores on his skin had opened up. You scheming woman, to actually use this kind of method, it hurts." Do Fusher couldn't help but shout out. "This woman is simply inhumane, she actually didn't care about my own thoughts and raped me, and she was even so violent. This is the first time I, Do Fusher, have done it. Wasn't it the same for soul separation?" The storm was still going on, and the wooden bed kept creaking. It didn't stop for the whole night, and the frequency was getting faster and faster. Outside the house, it gradually began to drizzle, forming a beautiful melody as it landed on the ground, but Dou Fusher was not in the mood. This woman had been doing it for an hour and still hadn't stopped. She was simply shameless. But now that things had come to this, Dou Fusher felt that this was fate. Forget it. I, Dou Fusher, am also an old-fashioned man. Since we have already done it, I have to take responsibility. However, the prerequisite was that she had to agree to some of his requests. Otherwise, she wouldn't want it. At this time, Drifting's soul was in high spirits, and every cell in his body was screaming excitedly. Suddenly, Li Hun felt empty, because this man actually refused to give it to her. He actually did not give her a happy mood. Li Hun really wanted to kill him. What are you doing? The soul-separating substance asked, trying to satisfy that emptiness again. Dou Fusher said solemnly, don't go too far. I have people above me. Don't stop me. Li Hun snorted, her pretty face was filled with need. If you agree to my conditions, I won't stop you. Speak. Well, since something like this has happened, you are my wife. To be my wife, you must follow the 3 obediences and 4 virtues. Washing and cooking are essential skills in life. In the future, I will be in charge of the big things in the family, and I will also be in charge of the small things. That's all for now. I will tell you after I think about it. Are you done? Wandering Soul felt like he was going crazy. He could not suppress the excitement in his heart at all. Just give me an answer. If you don't agree, then leave. If you agree, then continue. Drifting Soul took a deep breath. All right, I promise you. Dou Fusher nodded seriously and said in a deep voice, bring it on. Drifting Soul laughed. This expression was truly beautiful, once again humiliating Dou Fusher. The rain outside was getting heavier, but the passion in the room did not stop. 1 day. 2 days. 3 days. On the 3rd night, Dou Fusher almost rolled his eyes. This woman was so inhumane. He had tortured himself for 3 days. It can't be helped. The pink mist that Dou Fusher breathed in was mixed with the black mist, causing the nature of the mist to double. If Drifting Soul didn't work, she would have exploded and died. If Drifting Soul knew that the ending would be like this, she definitely wouldn't have come to kill Dou Fusher. After all, she wouldn't be able to kill Dou Fusher at all. Dou Fusher hugged onto Drifting Soul's body, and his gaze was a bit confused and helpless. I didn't even have a girlfriend before, and I was directly promoted to wife. Furthermore, this woman is so proactive, making me feel very uncomfortable. Normally, cold goddesses aren't that kind of sacred and inviolable goddess, right? Why did things turn out like this? Just as Dou Fusher was hesitating, Wei Chang's voice rang out beside his ears. Dou Fusher. His honor is asking you where is she? Wei Chang's voice was stern as he questioned. It has already been 3 days, and the female demon actually disappeared. No one knows where she went. Yihua asked Dou Fusher to protect Drifting Soul, not to sleep with someone else. In actuality, he wanted to sleep with someone else. However, the female demon had disappeared for 3 days, and this made Yihua very unhappy. In the end, Yihua still wanted to use her to deal a blow to heaven and earth. Dou Fusher hurriedly said, she is with me, she suffered some injuries, so she is currently receiving treatment. His honor said to quickly send her out to kill people. It has already been a few days since she last killed people, others have already forgotten about her. All right, I will immediately send her out to kill people. Dou Fusher hurriedly agreed. After cutting off the connection with Wei Chang, Dou Fusher felt a bit despair. Too many things had happened during these 3 days, such as right now, little Dou, let's continue. That's right, this is how it is. Dou Fusher is about to feel despair. That Drifting Soul from before seemed to be fake, but look at this is what I call real. Wait, go and pour a cup of tea for me. Dou Fusher said with a straight face. And, after speaking, Drifting Soul got off the bed, poured a cup of tea for Do Fusher, and then laid back down. Do Fusher was helpless. I don't know why Drifting Soul is so obedient. At first, I thought that she was pretending, but in the end, I discovered that she wasn't pretending, and she was really obedient. She did whatever I told her to do, even washing socks is fine. For Do Fusher to even suspect that this woman is acting, this doesn't make sense at all. Perhaps, Do Fusher still didn't know that his fart had a bit of a chemical effect. The pink mist had an aphrodisiac effect, and the black mist within Do Fusher's body was tyrannical and ferocious. It wasn't that Drifting Soul turned into an obedient woman, it was just that she couldn't stop herself. Perhaps, even she herself didn't know why. Drifting Soul, shouldn't you go and kill men now? Do Fusher was very panicked, because the current Drifting Soul didn't seem to hate men anymore. Boring, I don't want to go. Drifting Soul said softly. Do Fusher knew that Drifting Soul would be like this, and he persuaded, how can you do that? You have to stick to your own principles, you can't give up halfway. Not going, not going, not going. I won't go, Do Fusher covered his face. What should I do? I can't complete the mission that his honor gave me. Be obedient, if you don't go and kill men, I won't let you play with me anymore. Do Fusher threatened Drifting Soul. She was willing to do anything, but right now, she just wouldn't go and kill men. Drifting Soul pursed her lips, it doesn't matter, I will play with myself. Do Fusher. Chapter 638. I don't want to. Li Hun said resolutely, then began playing with Yi Hua's body again. Do Fusher didn't know what to say anymore. He felt that he was going to go crazy. His honor will definitely scold him to death. Why did such a thing happen? I, Do Fusher, don't want to, Your Honor, save me. A week passed by very quickly. Yi Hua was a bit annoyed recently. On one hand, it was because of that demoness. Why did she disappear for so long? On the other hand, it was because of his sister-in-law. Ever since that day, this sister-in-law seemed to have changed into another person. If she was afraid of me in the past, then right now, she isn't afraid of me at all. Just like right now, I am having a clandestine affair with my sister-in-law again, this is so awkward. Brother-in-law, if big sister finds out that we are lying together like this, what will she do? Qin Yutong, who was lying in Yi Hua's embrace, asked curiously. In actuality, the two of them didn't do anything out of line, they were just hugging each other. Yi Hua was still controlling himself. After all, if he were to really push Qin Yutong down, he would be letting Qin Yi down. You seduced me. Yi Hua said faintly while smoking. Sniff, sniff, brother-in-law, how can you be like this? Alright, let's stop here for today, I have something to do. Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette. This sister-in-law feels like I can't afford to offend her. However, this kind of stimulating feeling makes me feel very happy. It was normal for Yi Hua to have such a thought, because there was nothing else in this world that could make him feel excited or nervous. Only when I am having a clandestine affair with my sister-in-law would I have such a feeling. Brother-in-law, don't go. When are we going to make love your head, don't let your imagination run wild all day. Yi Hua knocked onto Qin Yutong's forehead, causing the latter to pout, looking extremely pitiful. However, Qin Yutong didn't give up. Brother-in-law, look at big sister and big sister Baiji, they are both pregnant, they definitely won't let you touch them. I don't have any, hurry up, let's talk about it when your big sister agrees to it. Yi Hua stood up. As a supreme overlord, I have to have principles when doing things. It's fine if I am having a clandestine affair to find excitement, but it's best not to touch my bottom line. I have to take into consideration Qin Ye's feelings, and of course, the Empress. Qin Yutong was just like a deflated balloon. Brother-in-law, please be merciful, I don't want to be a girl anymore. I think you should go back to leisure bar and play games with Zizi. Yi Hua let out a deep sigh. Recently, I have to stabilize myself a bit. This sister-in-law of mine is still not something that I can push, I'm afraid that one day, I won't be able to hold myself back and push her away. Seeing that Yihua had disappeared, Qin Yutong angrily took a pillow and smacked it onto the pillow. This big plan of mine to push down my brother-in-law actually didn't succeed. System, do you think that I'm too ugly? Brother-in-law didn't even have any reaction towards me. Qin Yutong lied on the bed and asked powerlessly. Master, your brother-in-law is an honorable supreme. How can he be pushed down so easily? Furthermore, Master, you're being too proactive. You have to keep him in suspense. Hearing what the system said, Qin Yutong sat up, then said with a smile, I didn't expect that you would be so smart. Why didn't I think of that? The Supreme Honorable is also a man. Master, you can do it. Qin Yutong already had an idea. Recently, I have indeed been taking the initiative a bit too much. Next, brother-in-law, if you miss out on today, there won't be such a thing in the future. Yihua still didn't know about his sister-in-law's tricks. He appeared at Wei Chang's house and decided to personally ask about Dou Fusher's situation. Why is there no movement at all after so long? Very quickly, Wei Chang found Dou Fusher's aura, and the two of them directly appeared in Dou Fusher's old house. Yihua and Wei Chang, who were standing in the central room, immediately wrinkled their brows. Because they heard a different kind of sound. Yihua's face darkened. I asked Dou Fusher to protect the female devil, but he actually slept with the other party. How can there be such a subordinate in my party? Go and call him over. Yihua said gravely. This is too outrageous. Today, I have to properly punish this Dou Fusher. Seems like I was too merciful. To actually not take my orders seriously. Yes. Wei Chang replied gravely. Wei Chang was very straightforward. Walking to the door, he shouted, Dou Fusher. Come out. All of a sudden, the sound inside the room stopped, and a panicked voice could be heard. In less than a minute, Dou Fusher hurriedly ran out of the room. When he saw that his honor had actually come, he nearly peed in his pants, because his honor's complexion was very bad. Subordinate greets his honor. Dou Fusher hurriedly kneeled on the ground and shouted. At this moment, Li Hun walked out of the room with her clothes on, and when she saw Yihua and Wei Chang, her little Dodo was actually kneeling on the ground and trembling. Little Dodo. Quickly get up, what are you doing? Who are they? Li Hun's expression changed, and she had the thought of helping Dou Fusher vent his anger. Dou Fusher was frightened by Li Hun's words, and he hurriedly shouted out, Li Hun. Quickly kneel down. Little Dodo, don't be afraid, I am very powerful. Li Hun wasn't afraid of the two people in front of her at all, and her expression was that of arrogance. Dou Fusher's frivolous expression changed, and he shouted out sternly, Li Hun. Kneel down right now. Li Hun's brows tightly wrinkled. She didn't understand why Dou Fusher was acting like this, but she had never seen Dou Fusher shout at her before. Li Hun, who was smart, knew that Dou Fusher was in a difficult situation, and thus, she chose to obey and kneel down. One must know that Li Hun had never kneeled before. Seeing that Li Hun was kneeling down, Dou Fusher let out a breath of relief, then hurriedly said, Your Honor, Li Hun is immature. Yihua sat on a chair in the central room, and Wei Chang stood respectfully at the side. Oh. She is immature, and you are going to be immature as well? What did I ask you to come here for? To have sex with her? Yihua questioned coldly. He was very angry. Dou Fusher hurriedly lowered his head, Your Honor, please forgive me, subordinate knows my mistake. Li Hun couldn't take it anymore, and she shouted out while looking at Yihua, Who are you? What does the matter between me and little Dodo have to do with you? Li Hun. Don't speak. Dou Fusher's heart was about to jump out from fear. This is my boss. Wei Chang's expression sank, and he raised his hand and slapped Li Hun, who was kneeling on the ground. Li Hun was immediately sent flying, and a big hole was smashed open on a brick. You are actually disrespecting his honor. You are courting death. Wei Chang said sinisterly. Looking at this scene, Dou Fusher's face turned ashen. These few days, I have developed some feelings for Li Hun, so how can I bear to see her get injured? As the saying goes, a single night as husband and wife means 100 days of love. It had already been a few nights, and Do Fusher was starting to fall in love with Li Hun. Your Honor, it is subordinate's fault, Li Hun doesn't know anything. Do Fusher said while kowtowing, and a big hole was smashed open on the uneven ground by Do Fusher. Chapter 639. Absolute Heaven and Brett were the reason why Fuso Battle was able to join the team. Although Absolute Heaven and Brett were not very satisfied with the results, they had still completed the task. As a result, Absolute Heaven made an exception and allowed Fuso Battle to join the team. Previously, when there was the Green and Red brothers, Yihua felt that if he were to be properly taught, he would be able to take up a great responsibility in the future. However, looking at the mission this time, it seemed that he was thinking too much. I told him to protect someone else, but this is great. He slept with someone else, and in broad daylight, he's still messing around on the bed, completely ignoring my words. Looking at the entire team, who would dare to ignore this senior's words? Only this floating battle. Just because he saw that the other party looked good, he slept with the other party. I reckon that he used his strength to coerce the other party. For such a scum to appear in my team, I, the Supreme Overlord, have failed in my judgment. If Do Fusher knew what his honor was thinking about, he would definitely cry out that he was wronged. It's not that subordinate slept with her, it's that she slept with subordinate. In order to please her, this subordinate has tried his best to satisfy her request. Even if she wants to go out and kill men, this subordinate doesn't want to do that. His honor asked you a question. Answer me honestly. Wei Chang bellowed. Even if you break the ground, it's useless. There was not even a scratch on Do Fusher's forehead, only a bit of dust. Your Honor, subordinate does not have the face to plead for leniency, it is subordinate's fault. Do Fusher did not explain anything, and hurriedly admitted his mistake. At the same time, Li Hun stumbled over from the side. Blood was flowing from the corner of her mouth, but she wasn't afraid at all. She shouted in her delicate voice, Lil Daodu, get up. We don't need to be afraid of them. Do Fusher's expression was as ugly as it could get. You foolish woman, can't you see the situation clearly? There's only one path in front of you. Your Honor, Li Huan didn't say those words on purpose, please spare her life. Do Fusher begged bitterly. If he were to truly anger his honor, the consequences would be extremely severe. Yihua looked towards Li Hun, and Li Hun wasn't weak at all as he looked straight at Yihua. If it weren't for the fact that you still have some use, would have killed you right now. Yihua said lightly. This woman was meant to be used to deal with heaven and earth. If not, Do Fusher wouldn't have been sent to protect her. And right now, Do Fusher was actually protecting her on the bed. Who the hell are you people? Lone Soul seemed to have only just recovered from her shock, and she questioned in her delicate voice. Do Fusher knelt on the ground without saying a word. Wei Chang wanted to say something, but was stopped by Yihua. Yihua looked at Do Fusher and said, I will give you one last chance, continue to protect her. If you continue to do anything that makes me unsatisfied, you will be kicked out. Do you understand? Thank you, Your Honor, for your forgiveness. Do Fusher hurriedly thanked Yihua. Even after such a thing happened, his honor still spared me. As expected, his honor is a good leader. Knowing that it was a misunderstanding, Yihua didn't plan to punish Do Fusher. However, right now, Do Fusher was still being observed. If Do Fusher was not suitable, Yihua would still kick him out. After all, my team doesn't need trash. You two can go and handle your matters. I hope that I will be able to see the report later on. After finished speaking, Yihua left the scene with Wei Chang. Seeing that his honor and Uncle Wei had left, Do Fusher immediately collapsed onto the ground. I was truly frightened just now, and I feel as if I was walking on a tightrope of death. Solely looked at Do Fusher's appearance, and a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Little Do Fusher, are you here to protect me? That's right, but I was slept with by you, and I was almost killed by his honor. Dou Fusher was in great pain. Just what did I do wrong? I am being bullied by all sorts of people. Is this how an honest person should be? Soli lightly hugged onto Dou Fusher, who wanted to cry but had no tears. All right, little Dou Fusher, don't cry, it's just a small matter. Is it still not big enough? Right now, I am unable to calm down even after a long time. Is that so? Let's go and have another round, then you will be able to calm down. What? Another round, I still want to live. It's fine, they have already left, let's go and handle our matters after one round. Hurry up, I want it, Dou Fusher. With a look of despair on his face, Dou Fusher was dragged into a small black room, and that pleading gaze of Dou Fusher was sending a signal to the entire universe. Although Soli is very obedient, his demand is too high. This is not the wife that I, Dou Fusher, want. On the other side, Yihua arrived at Wei Chang's house. Chapter 640. Your Honor, Tang Bingyao found a job outside. She's not working at the bar anymore? Wei Chang poured a cup of wolfberry tea for Yihua. She's making one serving during the day and one serving at night. Yihua took a sip of the tea, then said gravely, if that's the case, then you are in the wrong. Girls are working hard outside, and you are just acting like a boss at home. Your Honor, didn't you say that men need to have status? Wei Chang said in a low voice. All of this is because of your honor. Yihua, you do indeed have status. To let Tang Bingyao work outside to support you, I really don't know what to say. Forget it, it is better for me to not get involved in my family matters, I will just let them do as they please. Your Honor, actually, this matter with Dou Fusher and Sol departing is also a good thing. Wei Chang stood at the side and said respectfully. Wei Chang smiled and said, it is much easier for your honor to deal with this matter, just one act is enough to solve the problem. Yihua understood what Wei Chang meant. This Sol departing only needs to cooperate for a bit, and the problem will be solved. In actuality, whether or not she cooperates, the result will be the same. I really don't understand, this woman actually slept with Dou Fusher, but does Dou Fusher have such charm? Yihua muttered curiously. Your Honor, everyone has their own preferences, perhaps, this Sol departing likes Dou Fusher. True, you continue with your work, I will return to Voidless Realm first. Goodbye, Your Honor. After returning to Voidless Realm, it was just in time for lunch. Because Dong Huang Baiji had to deal with Voidless Realm's matters, Dong Huang Baiji learned how to cook. It must be said that this made Yihua very happy. Women need to learn how to take care of men, and cooking is one of their basic skills. Although it is not necessary, I still need to have such an attitude, which makes me very happy. Yihua walked into his own harem, let's just call it a harem for now, although there are only 2 of them. Right after walking into the harem, Yihua saw his sister-in-law playing with the 2 kids. Yihua looked over and noticed that Qin Yutong had changed a bit. Although we just had a clandestine affair, but right now, she feels like. She seems to have even put on makeup, and her attire is also rather decent and virtuous. She seems to be walking the route of maturity. This is the type of attire that I, the Supreme Overlord, like. As expected of my sister-in-law, she knows how to please me. The woman that I, the Supreme Overlord, fancy wouldn't be too bad either. She is truly alluring. Dad, when the 2 little fellows saw that their father had appeared, they ran towards Yihua. Meanwhile, Yihua carried one in each of his hands. How was your study this morning? Dong Huangli hurriedly nodded her head, and, I will teach little brother addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Dad, it's so hard. Yi Yan mumbled. Yihua laughed lightly, Yen, you have to work hard then. Yen, will definitely do your best and bring honor to Daddy. You really are my good son. Let's go. Let's go and eat. Yihua was very happy as he carried the child and walked towards the palace. Qin Yutong did not say anything and obediently followed behind Qin Yutong. Dad, quickly put Yen down. I'll go get the dishes for Mom. Ali also wants to go. Yihua felt that his children were rather sensible. Looking at the two little fellows running out, Yihua slowly sat down. Meanwhile, Qin Yutong, who was sitting opposite of Yihua, was holding onto her chin while looking outside of the house. Not to mention, Qin Yutong's angle was very enchanting. Even Yihua, who was used to looking at women like Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji, was about to be mesmerized by her. Qin Yutong knew of her own advantage, and thus, she made good use of it. If it was before, the current Qin Yutong would definitely look for stimulation. For example, taking advantage of the fact that her big sister and the others weren't around, she would sit in brother-in-law's embrace and kiss him. However, right now, she completely stopped moving. This caused Yihua to be a bit gloomy. If I take the initiative to call her sister-in-law, it would seem that I, the Supreme Overlord, am being too proactive. However, looking at Qin Yutong's beautiful side profile, Yihua's heart felt a bit itchy. What kind of tea is that Wei Chang, to actually be able to make me feel a bit hot after drinking it? Although Qin Yutong did not look at brother-in-law, she could feel that brother-in-law was harboring malicious intentions. Humph, I have already taken the initiative for a few days, and now, it is brother-in-law's turn to take the initiative. This is a good thing, I can't get my hands on it too easily. If not, how can I treasure it? Even after the little fellows had served all of the dishes, Qin Yutong still did not move. This caused Yihua to be furious. What is this sister-in-law trying to do? Is she trying to keep me in suspense? Her guts are truly getting bigger and bigger. The family of 6 began enjoying the warm lunch. The two little fellows didn't need to be fed at all, and they were able to eat with big mouthfuls. Looking at the 3 women eating was also a kind of enjoyment. Furthermore, Qin Yutong was especially particular today, which was something that Qin Yutong had never done in the past. This caused Qin Ye to be puzzled. Yo, our family's Yutong is going to take the gentle and virtuous route today. Big sister, if I am not gentle and virtuous, no man would want me anymore. When are you going to introduce me to a man? Being alone is truly lonely. Qin Yutong let out a light sigh. It seems like if I don't have a man, I won't be able to continue living my life. Yihua, who was eating, paused for a moment. This sister-in-law of mine sure is gutsy, to actually say such things in front of me. Although I know that Qin Yutong was doing this to anger me, I still feel very unhappy. Donghuang Baiji smiled sweetly. Yutong, the men in Voidless Realm are good, they won't mess around. Among the few great generals, there are also some who have yet to get married. If you fancy any one of them, tell me. Qin Ye, who was at the side, laughed. That's right, I can see that there are a few of them who are rather honest and dutiful. The two little fellows stopped eating and looked at the adults who were chatting with one another, expressing that they were very curious. After hearing that, Qin Yutong pouted her mouth. Isn't it brother-in-law who has the final say in our family? Yutong will have to listen to brother-in-law's decision. Yihua almost spat out the food in his mouth. This sister-in-law sure knows how to play, ruthless. Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji looked towards their man. At the very least, you should say something. What else can Yihua say? A few hours ago, I was still playing airplane chess with my sister-in-law on the bed. Other than that one time at the end, I have basically played everything that I wanted to play. However, right now, I have to say something. Yihua placed down his chopsticks and said faintly, this kind of matter cannot be rushed, I will investigate it properly. If it is honest and upright, it is still fine. Qin Yutong snorted in her heart. Brother-in-law is too bad, he still wants to investigate. Qin Ye also felt that what Yihua said was reasonable. Marriage is indeed a big matter that needs to be taken seriously. Baiji, I will have to trouble you to take care of Yutong. No problem, leave it to me. When the time comes, I will arrange a few people for you to meet and get familiar with each other. Then, Yutong will have to thank big sister Baiji. Qin Yutong said with a smile, seemingly very happy. This caused Yihua to feel even more unhappy. You are definitely taking revenge on me. Do you think that I, the Supreme Overlord, will spoil you? If you want to go, then go. After eating, the two little fellows began to take an afternoon nap. Meanwhile, Yihua took out his phone and browsed through the news. As expected, not long after, the homicidal maniac Li Hun appeared, and the commotion that he caused was quite big. Chapter 641. Due to the commotion this time being rather big, the consequences were also very frightening. People from all over the world started blaming Justice Alliance and Peace Association. Aren't you two an organization that maintains public order? Why didn't you two get rid of this demoness after she appeared for so many days? Or are you saying that you don't have the ability to get rid of this demoness? If you don't have the ability, just say it out loud, and everyone will think of another way. This caused Justice Alliance and Peace Association to be in a terrible situation. However, in the next few days, the situation became even more serious. That demoness seemed to have gone mad, and no one was able to stop her. She killed every man she saw, scaring a lot of men to the point that they didn't dare to leave their homes anymore. Right now, within Wang Debao's villa, Qing Tian's attitude changed, and his expression was rather gloomy. Wang Debao and Bai Cixin sat on the sofa at the side, and as for Feng Tian, he was still in his autistic state. After giving you so many ancient godly items, why didn't you get rid of that demoness? Qing Tian questioned in a deep voice. Because a female reincarnator actually brought so much trouble to his two organizations, Qing Tian didn't expect this to happen. Previously, he was respected and admired by others, but now, he was being scolded like a dog, and was even labeled as useless. Damn it, all of you are a bunch of unruly people, keyboard warriors. Wang Debao said lightly, Brother Qing, that demoness is simply too powerful. Last time, the people that we brought over all died. If not for us running fast enough, we wouldn't have had any hope of escaping. Excuses. Qing Tian shouted coldly. This caused Wang Debao and Bai Cixin to slightly go into a daze. Seems like this demoness indeed angered Qing Tian. Furthermore, Qing Tian's tone isn't right. Just now, everyone said that they are a team, but looking at the current situation, it seems like he is the one making the decision. I want to see the result within 3 days. Understand? Qing Tian's gaze was deep. This caused Wang Debao and Bai Cixin's heart to sink. Even though they have powerful primordial spirit right now, they still feel that Qing Tian is very powerful. Isn't this nonsense? Back then, Xiao Yi also had primordial spirit, and he even reincarnated once, but he was still insta-killed by Qing Tian. The two did not explain too much and nodded their heads. They didn't know how to deal with that demoness. Let's go out. Qing Tian slowly calmed down. The appearance of this demoness gave Voidless Realm a chance to take a breather. If Voidless Realm were to grab hold of this opportunity, they would be able to make a comeback. It seemed that he would have to consider making a move. When Bai Cixin and Wang Debao walked out of the villa, Wang Debao said in a low voice, This seems to be our house. Why are we the ones leaving? It seems that we have to contact Director Shi. Bai Cixin said in a deep voice. They couldn't go on like this. The ship that was Sky Supporting God was about to capsize. Moreover, Sky Supporting God's attitude had changed a lot. It was no longer the same as before. Wang Debao paused and asked curiously, Honey, are we going to join the space-time branch? Let's see. Honey, can't we just live a good life? Do you really have to get sucked into this vortex? Wang Debao heaved a sigh of relief. He was actually feeling a little tired. He had originally thought that he was a top-notch expert in this world. But in the past year, he had discovered that there were simply too many powerful people out there. They were not people that he could fight against at all. Bai Cixin stopped in her tracks and gently hugged her husband. Debao, when we can escape unscathed, we'll live a good life and ignore everything else. Really? Wang Debao was still very excited. Bai Cixin nodded her head. The excited Wang Debao carried his wife and spun her around. Let's go, I'll treat you to KFC. What's so good about KFC? I want to eat popping candy. Bai Cixin laughed tenderly. Wang Debao's mouth became an O shape. My wife hasn't eaten popping candy for a long time, and today, she actually wants to eat popping candy. As her husband, of course, I have to give her popping candy. The husband and wife held hands, just like a couple who were passionately in love, sat on the car and left. Meanwhile, Sky supporting God was standing beside the window on the second floor. Looking at the husband and wife leaving, the corner of Sky supporting God's mouth slightly rose. Meanwhile, in Voidless Realm, there was a big event that was going to happen today. Right now, within Qin Yutong's palace, Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji were busy being cuckolded. Why were they busy being cuckolded? Because Qin Yutong was going to go on a blind date today. These few days, I intentionally ignored my sister-in-law to let her know that I, the Supreme Overlord, am not someone who is to be trifled with. Quickly come over and apologize to me, then we can continue having an affair. In the end, not only did this sister-in-law not come and look for me, she even agreed to go on a blind date with Qinya. This sister-in-law is completely not putting me in her eyes. My two wives are still helping Qin Yutong dress up. Motherfucker, what is there to dress up for? Who the hell dares to go on a blind date with my sister-in-law? Do they not want to live anymore? Where did Yihua go after dinner? I didn't see him at all. Dong Huang Baiji said doubtfully. Qinya sized up her masterpiece. Who cares where he went? Yutong, are you satisfied with this? Looking at her own reflection in the mirror, Qin Yutong snorted coldly in her heart. Look, where am I lacking? Brother-in-law is actually ignoring me, and I even want to go on a blind date with him. Just now, when I was eating with him, he even said that it was fine, 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 fine. Satisfied, too beautiful. Qin Yutong was a skilled actress, and she was able to completely conceal her current mood. Dong Huang Baiji, who was at the side, laughed lightly. Yutong, this Tang Yu is the youngster who has the most promising future in the entire Voidless Realm. Not only is he handsome, he is also proficient in all kinds of martial arts, and there is no need to talk about his moral character. Tang family has been protecting Voidless Realm for generations, and Tang Yu is the same. I just like handsome men. Qin Yutong let out a series of laughter, seemingly like a love-struck fool. Qinya poked onto her little sister's forehead unhappily. You don't just look at appearances. Ayaya, I got it, don't mess up my hairstyle, success or failure will depend on this. Qinya shook her head helplessly. It's fine for you to be a bit crazy in front of us, but don't be like this in front of other people, be a bit more gentle. I got it, I got it. I'll be leaving first, wait for my good news. After finished speaking, Qin Yutong jogged out of the room. Qinya warned loudly, you walk slower. Be a bit more ladylike. Got it. Looking at her little sister leaving, Qinya let out a deep sigh. For her, I have been worried to death. Dong Huang Baiji hugged onto Qinya's shoulder and teased, I feel that Yutong and Yihua are actually quite compatible. How about we matchmake the two of them? The two of them still want to matchmake each other? Yihua can't wait for that to happen. Qinya rolled her eyes. Yihua wouldn't accept such a good thing, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't believe it. Chapter 642. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly, I only did it because Yutong is your younger sister. If it was someone else, I wouldn't be willing to do it. Are you trying to push my sister into a pit of fire? Qinya laughed helplessly. I was just joking, don't take it seriously. It is better to let Yutong decide her own matters. Qinya let out a light sigh. Thinking about my little sister's marriage is giving me a headache. If it really doesn't work, I might as well just marry Yihua. If Yihua really marries Yihua, I will have to worry about what if Yihua doesn't treat my little sister well. It must be said that these two women are truly invincible. If Yihua were to know what the two women are thinking in their minds, he would definitely be very excited. To actually know how to find a wife for me, the two of you are truly great. In Voidless Realm, there was a food street. Voidless Realm felt just like walking into a street in ancient times. During the night, this place was very lively, and Voidless Realm's youngsters would all come here to play and flirt with the big sisters. Of course, this was also a good place for a date. On a stone bridge, the scenery here was very pleasant. Many young men and women were whispering sweet nothings to each other or looking into the distance. There was also a wooden boat below, which was also a good dating mode. Wow, that is Tang Yu, everyone, quickly look. So handsome, Tang Yu is so handsome. Why did Tang Yu come out today? It's so weird. Everyone felt that Tang Yu was very strange. It was very rare for Tang Yu to leave her house. Ever since her father died in the war back then, Tang Yu became a little general, and she was also the youngest general in the entire Voidless Realm. Thus, she received the favor of countless girls, and all of them wished that they could just fall into Tang Yu's embrace and enjoy the caress of a hero. Tang Yu was 189 centimeters tall, the height of a typical male god. He had a head of long, elegant hair, and a face that looked like it had been carved by a knife or axe. It could be said to be perfect. His eyes were calm, but his aura made people not dare to approach him. The two of them combined created a fatal attraction. Following the imposing footsteps, Tang Yu walked to the stone bridge. Placing his left hand on his abdomen and his right hand leaning on his back, Tang Yu looked into the distance and waited for the beautiful woman. Upon closer inspection, Tang Yu was a little nervous. Just today, the Empress was actually arranging a marriage for him. Even Lord Qing's younger sister. Tang Yu had also seen Qing Yutong from far away, and she felt that Qing Yutong was truly very beautiful, and her beauty was on par with the Empress. This caused Tang Yu to feel a bit unconfident, because Qing Yutong was too perfect, and I'm afraid that I'm not worthy of her. Of course, amidst this lack of confidence, he was still very happy in his heart. After all, it was the marriage that the Empress had mentioned. If I can really marry a girl like that, it will be my good fortune. Thinking of this, Tang Yu took a deep breath, and her mind began to wander. As the date drew closer, Tang Yu became more nervous. However, at this moment, a series of exclamations rang out. Tang Yu also looked in the direction of the voices. An extremely beautiful woman slowly walked over. She wore a pure white dress, and her cheeks were as white as snow. Her eyes were as clear as autumn water, and the smile on her lips was like a red plum blossom on a branch, exuding a pleasant charm. All the men couldn't move their feet when they saw her, and all the women would feel ashamed of their inferiority when they saw her. Her beauty was on par with the Empress. She was Qing Yutong. So beautiful, as expected of Her Majesty's younger sister. That's right, her appearance is comparable to Her Majesty's. I heard that her big sister is even more beautiful. Lord Yi sure is lucky. However, why did she come out today? Didn't she always stay in the palace? She might have come out to take a stroll. Tang Yu swallowed his saliva. This is the girl that I went on a blind date with? She is really so beautiful, and she seems to have dressed herself up meticulously. My God. She actually values this blind date so much. Doesn't this mean that I have a greater chance of getting married? What should I say later? If it is too abrupt, it doesn't seem too good, right? Qing Yutong also saw Tang Yu. Tang Yu looks very similar to the photo. She did not Photoshop. However, when she saw Tang Yu's figure, Qing Yutong took in a deep breath in her heart. I still can't compare to brother-in-law. It can be said that I have fallen into brother-in-law's trap. Right now, I want to compare all the men that I see with brother-in-law. However, compared to brother-in-law, I am simply too weak. Brother-in-law is a real man. I really like brother-in-law Wu. However, in order to make brother-in-law angry, I have to put on a good performance. I don't believe that brother-in-law will be able to endure it. If he is able to endure it, I, Qing Yutong, will admit defeat and throw myself at brother-in-law. As expected, I am shameless. There is no other way. Who doesn't like an outstanding man like brother-in-law? Even the Empress and big sister were able to bury the hatchet, and this is all because brother-in-law's charm is too great. Qing Yutong walked onto the stone bridge step by step, and Tang Yu, who was on the other side, turned around, and her expression began to become abnormally nervous. Seeing Tang Yu's expression, Qing Yutong once again felt that brother-in-law is really too outstanding, to the point that even I have to throw myself at him. Although this man in front of me looks handsome, but seeing me being nervous like this, sigh. Where is my manliness? Where is my aura of dominance? Where is my dignity? Qin Yutong didn't think about what kind of identity I have right now. I am the Empress's younger sister, Lord Ye's sister-in-law. Even if placed in the entire voidless realm, I will still be respected by everyone. Adding on my temperament and aura, ordinary men really won't be able to withstand it. And this Tang Yu can also be considered as a youngster. It is very normal for her to have this kind of behavior. Qin Yutong stood in front of Tang Yu. The latter's mind was in a mess, and the words that she wanted to say just now were all forgotten. However, the people in the surroundings began to discuss among themselves. My God. The reason why Tang Yu came so early is actually because of the Empress's younger sister. Looking at this situation, they should be going on a blind date. Damn, this Tang Yu is too awesome, to be able to directly become in-laws with the Empress. I'm so envious, I want to become like Tang Yu too. The men in the surroundings were all envious of Tang Yu, and the women were all envious of Qin Yutong's appearance. Qin Yutong was about to become speechless. This Tang Yu actually doesn't know how to speak, she is already stupefied from looking at me. If the full score was 100 points, Qin Yutong would have to deduct 50 points right now. Let's go for a walk. Qin Yutong said lightly. Tang Yu was feeling ashamed. I actually let other people speak first. I definitely won't be able to leave a good impression on myself. I am too stupid. Alright. Tang Yu was very embarrassed, and after revealing this smile, he became even more embarrassed. Qin Yutong felt that she was going to deduct another 25 points from herself. This man is no good, he doesn't look as good as brother-in-law when he smiles. Qin Yutong and Tang Yu could be seen walking side by side on the street, and the people in the surroundings were very surprised. The two of them are actually on a date. This is a big matter in Voidless Realm. However, Tang Yu didn't know what to say anymore, and could only continue walking foolishly. Chapter 643. About that, today's weather is pretty good. Tang Yu thought for a long time and decided to break this awkward situation. Qin Yutong pursed her lips. Is there such a thing as weather in Voidless Realm? Tang Yu, so awkward it's really so awkward Tang Yu felt that her brain wasn't enough right now. I have to quickly think of a way to save myself and cherish this rare opportunity. I usually stay at home and train my martial arts, write poems and draw. What about you? Tang Yu felt that this topic was pretty good. Don't all girls like this type of guys? Qin Yutong laughed. Is that so? I like guys who know how to play games. Tang Yu, play games? I don't think I have played games before. How am I supposed to continue with this? I am completely unable to continue. I have never left Voidless Realm before, so I don't know how to play games. Tang Yu said helplessly, feeling that she was going to be finished today. Qin Yutong didn't mind at all and said with a smile, you are also doing this for Voidless Realm, I can understand. That's good, how about we go to that pavilion and have a seat? Tang Yu looked towards the pavilion that was not far away from them. That pavilion was a place where guys would brag, drink and so on. Alright. Qin Yutong said tenderly. Tang Yu felt that Qin Yutong's voice was super pleasant to listen to. If I can listen to her voice for my entire life, how great would that be? Yihua also felt that his sister-in-law's voice was very pleasant to listen to, and this point was a bit better than Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji. Especially when she acts coquettishly, it can simply give you goosebumps. The two walked into the pavilion that was called Huaxian Pavilion. The environment inside was elegant, and there were a few guys who were bragging. When they saw the two walking in, the guys stood up and shouted, Lord Qing. General Tang. From the order, it could be seen that Qin Yutong's status was higher than Tang Yu. The two nodded their heads, which could be considered as a response, then directly walked towards the top floor. However, not long after the two left, Yihua walked in with a cigarette in his mouth, and his expression was a bit unkind. When everyone saw that Yihua appeared, they all went into a daze. Soon after, they revealed a look of worship and shouted, "Lord Yi." This is how a strong person should be addressed. From their tone, it can be seen that when they called Tang Yu just now, they definitely did not use this tone. Yi Hua did not pay any attention to her and directly walked upstairs. "Tonight, I am going to spank my sister-in-laws, but until it is swollen." Towards Yi Hua's attitude, no one felt uncomfortable. In fact, they even felt that this was something that a powerhouse should do. Coming to the top of the pavilion, Qin Yutong and Tang Yu sat at a seat that was close to the side. She didn't want to think about anything else. When passing by Yi Hua, Tang Yu shouted out respectfully, "Lord Yi, I will be leaving first." Yi Hua didn't say anything and nodded his head with a calm face. After Tang Yu left, Qin Yutong snorted. "Come over." Yi Hua shouted out in a low voice. "For the sake of brother-in-law's good performance, I'll be obedient this time and follow your heart." Qin Yutong sat in front of Yi Hua and pouted. "Qin Yutong. You're so bold now, going on a blind date." "Brother-in-law, you promised it yourself," Qin Yutong said in a low voice. Yi Hua slammed onto the table. "You still dare to talk back to me? I really like brother-in-law like this, he's so manly, I love it. It is obviously you, what does it have to do with me?" Qin Yutong muttered in a low voice. Yi Hua's expression turned cold, and the two of them instantly disappeared from the pavilion and arrived at Leisure Bar's bedroom. Yi Hua did not hesitate and directly pressed his sister-in-law onto his thigh, then directly gave her a slap. "Brother-in-law, it hurts, be gentler." Qin Yutong bit her lips tightly, and that sweet voice of hers really caused Yi Hua's strength to decrease by quite a bit. This sister-in-law of his really knew how to choose the right time to attack when he was full of anger. Yi Hua and Qin Yutong immediately pressed Qin Yutong onto the bed, and Yi Hua and Qin Yutong began to enjoy the pleasure and excitement of having an affair. "Brother-in-law, stop for a moment," Qin Yutong shouted out. Not knowing why, when Yi Hua heard Qin Yutong call him brother-in-law, and then such a thing happened, he felt very refreshed. Yi Hua frowned and asked in confusion. "Brother-in-law, lie down." Yi Hua wanted to see what kind of tricks this sister-in-law was going to play. Chapter 644. Very comfortable? Yi Hua was a bit stupefied, but what happened next caused Yi Hua to instantly feel excited and comfortable. Yi Hua had also thought about this kind of stimulation before, but he had never mentioned it to Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji before. He felt that it wasn't appropriate, but he would often fantasize about it in his heart, and that feeling would definitely be so great that it would explode. However, what this sister-in-law was doing right now was something that Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji had never done before. "I am very happy. I am very happy. This little sister-in-law is mine. Damn, it's so comfortable." Not knowing how long had passed, Qin Yutong licked her lips, then asked with a beaming smile, "Brother-in-law, is it comfortable?" "Yutong, your performance is wrong. I like it very much." Yi Hua gave the highest praise to Donghuang Baiji. From the looks of it, Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji had never received such praise before. "Sob sob sob, I'm so happy. Brother-in-law actually praised me." Qin Yutong was also very excited. To be able to get brother-in-law's praise is truly too hard. Just look at those subordinates of brother-in-law. They are all thinking of ways to get praise. Even big sister and big sister Baiji are the same. They are doing their best to do everything well, all for the sake of getting brother-in-law's praise. Right now, Yi Hua felt that his entire body was feeling very comfortable. "I have been holding it in for a long time. Luckily, I have Yutong's help." While hugging onto his sister-in-law's fragrant shoulder, Yi Hua asked curiously, "Where did you learn this trick from?" Qin Yutong hugged onto Yi Hua's waist and said with a beaming smile, "How is there a need to learn? Everything is for the sake of serving brother-in-law, and, Yutong, it's good that you have this kind of awareness. You didn't waste brother-in-law teaching you for so long. Sob 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 as long as brother-in-law is happy." Qin Yutong immediately began acting coquettishly, and Yi Hua enjoyed it very much. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji very rarely act coquettishly in front of him now. In the past, they would still act coquettishly a little, but now that they are the mother of 2 children, it is very difficult for them to act coquettishly even for a month. However, the feeling of having a clandestine love affair is still very great. It's no wonder that so many men like it. I, the Supreme Overlord, like it as well. Brother-in-law, there's still time. Do you want to do it again? Alright, we'll go back when you're done. Okay. Yi Hua closed his eyes and placed both of his hands behind his head, enjoying the comfortable feeling that his sister-in-law gave him, very comfortable. Within Voidless Realm, Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji had also heard about this news. Qinya, it seems like us men are interested in Yutong, to the point that we have to personally watch over this blind date. Dong Huang Baiji let out a delicate voice, seemingly not really caring about it. However, this was also Qin Yutong. If it was another woman who tried it, they would have already taken out a blade and rushed towards Dong Huang Baiji. Qinya held onto her forehead and said in a low voice, from the very start, this Yi Hua never had good intentions towards Yutong. In the past, he even said that he wanted me to send condoms to Yutong. Don't you think that this is infuriating? Dong Huang Baiji pushed aside her hair and said lightly, Qinya, Yutong has been with Yi Hua for so long, and right now, every single man would compare Yi Hua with Yi Hua. Say, Yi Hua is so outstanding, who else would she like? That's true, no matter what kind of man is compared to Yi Hua, they would all feel inferior. Qinya agreed with what Dong Huang Baiji said. My man is the most outstanding man in the world. That's why, if your sister were to continue competing with Yi Hua, she would definitely end up alone for the rest of her life. Furthermore, Yutong has been living with us for so long, we are already a family. If she were to really marry out, I would still be a bit worried. Qinya turned her head around and looked at Dong Huang Baiji, then said doubtfully, Baiji, did you receive something good from my sister? To think that you are actually trying to enlighten me here. How is that possible? Yutong is truly a good girl, not many men are worthy of her. I think that Yi Hua is the one who came to look for you to persuade her. In the past, Dong Huang Baiji wasn't like this, and right now, Dong Huang Baiji is actually acting as the matchmaker between her sister and her husband. Alright, I won't say any more, lest you think that I am a spy. Dong Huang Baiji raised her hands and surrendered. In actuality, this was also a suggestion. Qinya was Qin Yutong's big sister, and this matter still had to depend on whether Qinya agreed or not. I heard that the 2 of them disappeared, and I have no idea where they went. Qinya said in a low voice. Dong Huang Baiji was trimming her nails, then said with a smile, what else can they do? We are not even allowing Yi Hua to touch them, and Yi Hua is probably going to find trouble with his sister-in-law. This won't do, I have to go and catch them, this is too outrageous. Qinya said indignantly. In actuality, she still hadn't thought things through in her heart. From a certain point of view, if Yutong were to marry Yi Hua, Qinya would be at ease. At the very least, Yi Hua would treat Yutong with sincerity. If it was someone else, Qinya wouldn't be able to say anything. Right now, her sister had undergone an earth-shattering change, who knows what other people are plotting. However, just as Qinya was preparing to go and catch them, Yi Hua appeared in front of the door. You 2 haven't slept yet? Yi Hua said faintly. His expression was very normal, as if nothing had happened. Qinya's expression changed, and immediately, a smile appeared on her face. She pulled Yi Hua to sit on a chair, then lightly massaged Yi Hua. Yi Hua, where did you go just now? Qinya probed. If Yi Hua didn't even have this bit of awareness, then what was the point of having an affair? He would have been caught long ago. I didn't go anywhere, I just strolled around with Yutong and taught her how to win over a man's favorable impression. While saying this, Yi Hua couldn't help but think back to the scene just now. Yutong sure put in a lot of effort to win over me. Qinya went into a slight daze. My husband isn't walking the normal path. Actually, Baiji and I had discussed it just now. We feel that we won't be at ease if Yutong were to marry someone else, so we wanted to ask for your opinion. If I were to fall for your trick, would be chopped up during the live stream. What opinion? Yihua asked curiously. Didn't I tell you before, I will just let Yutong follow you? Qinya said tenderly, as if she was forcing Yihua to marry her. To be honest, Yihua's heart was slightly moved, but the answer that came to his mind was, don't fall for my trick, Qinya is lying again. I have taught you so many times, lying is a bad habit. You have to learn from me, never lie to others. What kind of crooked idea is this? Yutong is my sister-in-law, and you are even Yutong's big sister. This is too outrageous. I have to properly criticize you. Hurry up and dispel this idea of yours. Yihua shouted out coldly. Do you think that I, the Supreme Overlord, don't know about your little tricks? However, what Yihua didn't expect was that Donghuang Baizhi actually approved of the idea. And although Qinya didn't approve of the idea, at the very least, she didn't oppose it just now. Qinya was a bit unsure of what her husband was thinking. Is he really not feeling anything towards my little sister, or is he just pretending? As expected of a man who once won the Best Actor award, to be able to even deceive his wife, you're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.